Good afternoon, everybody. We are back tracking thunderstorms in southeast Queensland with two very dangerous severe thunderstorms now tagged by the Bureau of Meteorology. A lot of lightning now in the Lockyer region towards the north of Toowoomba and just towards the northwest of Brisbane. Now, these severe thunderstorms have been, as mentioned, labelled as very dangerous. You can see both of them here on stream into the Somerset and the Lockyer Valley, or just actually towards the north of Lockyer Valley, heading towards Esk. Another one moving up towards Blackbutt, which is through here. They're about to be impacted imminently as well. Both Jimna and Kilcoy in this severe thunderstorm warning zone, and whilst Brisbane, Ipswich and all the Logan area and also down on the Gold Coast through here are likely to be in the all clear, these thunderstorms are a little bit too close for comfort, and again we are seeing some pretty significant severe thunderstorms developing here. Again, giant hailstones, locally intense rainfall, some pretty significant impacts from these thunderstorms are expected to occur as a result of their passage over these parts of southeast Queensland. Now, if you are brand new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. We are here tracking these thunderstorms for at least the next hour or so just to see what is going on in regards to these thunderstorms, but they are quite strong indeed. We will be taking a look at these thunderstorms and seeing what they are going to produce over the next few moments or the next hour or so. So, of course, any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section as well. It's a warm day today. There was pretty good thunderstorm potential, all things considered, but yeah, so far we've seen some pretty gnarly stuff developing. So this is looking towards the northwest, off towards this direction here, so we're kind of looking under the anvil of this severe thunderstorm. In terms of what we're trying to see in terms of this severe thunderstorm here, it really doesn't look like we've got too much going on. We can actually see from this station here, looking just towards the west, this is about 25 minutes ago, at Swan Hill, you can see that strong severe thunderstorm here, which I've just circled, and this is this one here, the developing hail core just outside of Swan Hill. But yeah, definitely some large, potentially some giant hailstones developing in these severe thunderstorms as they ramp up here. Definitely this afternoon has been substantially more interesting so far than what I have, what I expected initially. Lots of lightning activity at the very least, and you can see in terms of reflectivity readings that we're getting back from some of these thunderstorms here, 66 decibels in that one, 65 decibels in that one here, and then on the very dangerous one that's heading up towards Blackbutt, we've got 63, 62-ish decibels, so large, if not giant hailstones in this severe thunderstorm here. And again, like I said, moving straight towards Blackbutt, likely to arrive in the next half an hour or so. Welcome to everybody that is watching. This will be hopefully the last amount of live coverage that I have to provide on this severe thunderstorm outbreak that has been ongoing over the last couple of days through southeast Queensland, but further live coverage on these storms will go ahead if very dangerous storms continue to develop in southeast Queensland. But again, very dangerous thunderstorms, we need to be looking at them quite closely. And as this dry line continues to sweep across in towards southeast Queensland, so right now pushing in towards that Lockyer and the Somerset region, which has thrown up these three severe thunderstorm cells here, looks like we may start to see some thunderstorm development into parts of the South Burnett forecast district. Already thunderstorms towards the northeast of Chinchilla, and a couple of strong thunderstorms already today around the Taroom area. One place to watch later today is going to be around the Warwick area as well. Warwick up towards Toowoomba, some non-severe thunderstorms are possible down here. They may upscale later on as well and get themselves into the Brisbane city area, but right now Brisbane and the Gold Coast not likely to see significant severe thunderstorm impacts at this point in time. I'm pretty confident that we can say that Brisbane and the Gold Coast are not likely to see anything substantial later today. But yeah, definitely yesterday, a cracker day. Today is not going to be anything like it, but when we're comparing thunderstorms to previous days, like comparing today's outbreak to yesterday's outbreak, we're obviously talking about much weaker thunderstorms, but still very dangerous ones here, and they're ones that are quite strong and need to be taken quite seriously. They're also extremely slow moving. I mean, over the last hour, they have done nothing in the way of move, particularly the one just outside of Hampton, and it's good that this entire area is basically national park where they are impacting right now. There's really very little in the way of impacts that these thunderstorms are throwing out, but I imagine you're getting a good lightning show around the Esk area, particularly if you look a little bit over towards the west. You'll be getting a very good lightning show right now, but these thunderstorms are very slow moving. It's stubbornly not going anywhere, and honestly, like if they continue with this very slow moving trend, whilst Blackbutt will begin to see some things in the next kind of 20 minutes or so in terms of heavy rainfall if it hasn't already begun there, and potentially an uptick in lightning, these thunderstorms may upscale and become a lot weaker by the time they get up to these locations. But yeah, it's definitely an ideal chasing day today. These thunderstorms, like I said, slow moving, so storm chasers have got plenty of time to work around these thunderstorms. But for the most part, they are not of the crazy variety, not of the anything too crazy or nutty variety like we saw yesterday. Giant hailstones will occur in some of these thunderstorms, but they're not going to be those absolute whoppers, those cannonballs that we saw coming from the sky yesterday. And an awful lot of lightning to go with it as well. Got some very substantial lightning activity within these thunderstorms here that are developing towards the northwest of Brisbane, and they are, like I said, quite substantial. Now, the severe thunderstorm warning for these very dangerous thunderstorms includes Nanango. It also includes Moore and across towards Kilcoy as well, but it doesn't include bigger population centres such as Kingaroy or Gympie. This is the severe thunderstorm warning for potentially very dangerous thunderstorms, and these thunderstorms are, as mentioned, very, very slow moving, and it's likely that they're not even going to make it out towards the Esk area within the next hour or so. So we're not talking about anything too crazy with these thunderstorms, but still definitely something that is worth keeping an eye on. And then, as mentioned, we're already beginning to see a bit of convection blow up around the Clifton area, down around the Gatton area too, and some cloud beginning to build around the Warwick area as well. So we may begin to see some thunderstorm activity down there, and some of the forecast models have shown thunderstorm activity down around the Warwick area throughout the course of tonight as well. And we're already beginning to see a little bit of that thunderstorm activity get itself going. In fact, in the latest frames, just towards the west of Warwick, we now have a bit of a thunderstorm beginning to develop. It's not throwing out any lightning yet, and a bit of a stronger thunderstorm over the border in towards the northeast of New South Wales, which is heading up towards Woodinbong and then eventually up towards Rathdowney, which will see thunderstorms, or likely to see thunderstorms, in the next hour or so. But just recapping on the Bureau of Meteorology severe thunderstorm warning, like we said, two very dangerous severe thunderstorms developing here in the Somerset region, Toowoomba region, and outside of Esk as well. So these thunderstorms, as mentioned, very dangerous and very slow moving as well. Esk imminently about to be impacted. But as mentioned as well, these thunderstorms are not of a significant concern. They're not going to be anywhere near as strong as ones that we've seen over the last couple of days, particularly yesterday. They're not going to drop the hailstones that we saw yesterday. 5 centimetres tops is kind of as big as we're expecting the hail to get from these severe thunderstorms. And in terms of a Brisbane impactor as well, it's just not hot enough for Brisbane, but we've also got a similar problem to yesterday with this dry line, which is where those thunderstorms develop along. This dry line here is way too far away from the Brisbane area. In fact, I've got a couple of chasers that I'm in contact with that are on the scene. In particular, one of them, Chris McFerrin at Southeast Queensland Weather Photography. He's on the Warwick scene. I've just cited his message right now, and he's saying that there's a pretty big blow up going over the Warwick area right now. So Warwick is going to be a spot to keep an eye on. And if we turn off the radar here and we have a look at some of the IR satellite imagery, you can see that those cloud tops now are really beginning to get up into those upper echelons of severe thunderstorm magnitude. We've also got this big thunderstorm here over the border into the northeast of New South Wales, and of course, as mentioned in the Facebook post, the 3 megos up here, those 3 strong supercell thunderstorms. But yeah, these thunderstorms here quite strong, and just getting these big tower now confirmed around the Warwick area. So this thunderstorm is likely to get much stronger. Upscaling means where these thunderstorms become squall lines later on in the afternoon and the evening, so more rain-based or rain-dominant thunderstorms, and it's a process that pretty much all thunderstorms take. But yeah, this is a big thunderstorm here that's developing just outside of Crow's Nest, and is about to go on towards the Esk area. And even this supercell here that's moving over Lake Cressbrook right now, whilst it doesn't look too serious or too significant on the on this radar imagery at least, if we were to have a look at the Toowoomba radar, or even have a look at the Doppler radar on this thunderstorm here, some very defined rotation going on. We actually have some incredible rotation couplets at Mount Binga right now. So if I was to zoom in on this, sometimes when we see such extreme echoes like this, it could be glitching. So that red in the middle, we'll take that with a pinch of salt. But there is some very solid rotation here on these supercell thunderstorms. And again, this one here just towards the southeast of Mount Binga. And then outside of Crow's Nest, there's 3 or 4 very interesting couplets of rotation now developing on these thunderstorms. So yeah, these are some strong storms, very strong storms, and they're continuing to intensify as well. They're going to continue to intensify over the coming couple of hours. And again, just flicking it back to the radar imagery, Yeah, that's likely developing a hail core now. If it, well, I mean, obviously it's got a bit of a hail core, small hail core, but it's definitely developing and maturing up that hail core right to the north of Gatton. And that's probably right under my webcam as well. But yeah, this thunderstorm here, it's quite a strong one. It is a very, very strong one indeed. And just checking back in on the Toowoomba radar, which is actually very close to these thunderstorms here. Having a look at these thunderstorms, I mean, you can see that there are 4 distinct cells. We've got the Yarraman one as well, which has some distinct rotation. Mount Binga, which has some distinct rotation as well, just towards the west of Toogoolawah, and then the one here outside of Crow's Nest that is moving towards the Esk area. So 4 distinct cells now. Of course, the second and the fourth one look to be the strongest, but also that first one here up around the Yarraman area is also quite strong. All of these thunderstorms here are severe, if not very dangerous. However, with that dry line now pushing over the Toowoomba area, so conditions are now going to begin to ease off around the Toowoomba area. The risk of thunderstorms is going to continue to ease off, and Toowoomba, which you can see down here, is now no longer expecting severe thunderstorm activity throughout the course of today. It'd be a bit of a miracle if severe thunderstorms were to develop around the Toowoomba area. But yeah, big stack around the Warwick area now. This is going to be a storm that we need to watch, and even this cell here just towards the south of Allura. As these storms here head over the mountains, they could get themselves out towards Harrisville, and in the next hour or so we may be talking about a severe thunderstorm risk developing around the Harrisville or the Ipswich area. In terms of Gold Coast or Brisbane impacts, highly unlikely from these thunderstorms. The forecast models and even the Bureau of Meteorology have been labelling these thunderstorms throughout the course of today as being potentially severe, but the window of development for these thunderstorms is the next hour and a half, basically, and if they cannot mature and develop in the next hour and a half, with right now being basically the best time for these severe thunderstorms, yeah, they're just not going to make it out into the Brisbane area. And you can actually see on the convective forecast modelling right now, from this point onwards, there is just nothing in the way of activity or thunderstorm development into the Brisbane or the Gold Coast area. Maybe something for Ipswich, and if something was going to happen around the Ipswich area, that wouldn't overly shock me. We may also see something around the Harrisville area, Boonah, Bow Desert as well. We may be putting those areas on notice shortly. But yeah, in terms of severe thunderstorm potential into the Brisbane area, very, very unlikely to occur at this point in time. I'm just waiting for this Warwick one to begin throwing out some lightning, which is likely to happen very, very soon. Of course, our main thunderstorm up here, this cluster of supercells, this multicellular supercell thunderstorm here, this is a very, very big thunderstorm and is definitely a very dangerous thunderstorm here, heading towards the north and the east, or northeast. Yarraman, Moore, Esk, Crow's Nest, all within the severe thunderstorm or the very dangerous severe thunderstorm tag. Kilcoy, I imagine, will also be placed in that very dangerous severe thunderstorm tag potentially soon. Kingaroy is likely to miss out on these thunderstorms, I would say, at this point in time. There have been some developing cells through here, just outside of Chinchilla, but I mean, as we can see over the last couple of minutes or so, they've really, they tried to get themselves off the ground, but it doesn't look like they've been able to mature enough, and the outlook for these cells here that are moving up towards Proston and Wundai, very, very minimal, very, very unfavourable at this point in time. So thunderstorms not expected through the Wundai or the Kingaroy area. It's going to be where these thunderstorms head off towards. But again, they're likely, because they are slow moving and conditions are only prime for them for the next hour, they're going to stop before they get into the Caboolture area. At least that's what it appears to be at this stage. We're not expecting thunderstorms to get themselves out into the Caboolture area or into Brisbane at any point right now. It's highly unlikely to happen. Yeah, it will fall apart before the coast. If it doesn't fall apart, it will just upscale, and I mean, that's essentially falling apart from a severe standpoint. But still, very, very dangerous hail core within this severe thunderstorm here. We're talking about reflectivity readings coming back at around 65 decibels. This would be verging on giant hailstones. We'll also likely have large to giant hailstones as well towards Lake Crestbrook area, just towards the northeast of Crow's Nest, or the east-northeast of Crow's Nest. And this cell here, the one with the on the southern side, will likely clip Esk in about half an hour or so. No Caboolture, no. And no Logan City, no Brisbane area either. It really doesn't look like either of those locations are going to be impacted by thunderstorms today. So whilst these thunderstorms are dangerous, they're not dangerous to a large swathe of population. They're not dangerous to the Brisbane area. They're not dangerous to any of Brisbane's suburbs right now. And I mean, even if these thunderstorms develop very close to the Brisbane city area, They don't have very hostile conditions for them. Honestly, the best conditions for severe thunderstorms today was going to be north of Gympie, up around the Guyanda and the Tyro area, just in this location here. But that dry line is just still way too far down to the south. So if this dry line had pushed up towards here, we'd be talking about some very serious supercell thunderstorm activity. But that's not going to happen today, because the dry line, which is that line where these thunderstorms develop along, is too far south and too far embedded within hostile conditions. But it's still relatively hostile where this thunderstorm has developed here. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but the conditions for this thunderstorm, wind shear is about 40 knots. That is touch and go for supercell activity. We don't normally see supercells developing in 40 knots of wind shear at the 200 HPA mark. And in fact, at the 200 HPA mark, wind shear is about 40 kilometers an hour, which is even worse. There's not much in the way of dry air. There's not really a steep lapse rate in this severe thunderstorm. So all in all, like, conditions are not exactly great for these severe thunderstorms that are developing outside of Esk and Crow's Nest. They've done really, really well to get to the strength that they are at right now. So incredibly impressive to see these sort of thunderstorms developing in the conditions that are currently within these thunderstorms. They're not meant to be this strong, let me tell you. Even this Warwick cell here, this has gone absolutely nuts in the last kind of 10 minutes. It's now throwing out some heavy drops of rainfall, I would imagine, embedded within. It's got some pretty tall cloud tops as well. We may be talking about a pretty strong thunderstorm here around the Warwick area pretty soon, so that's going to be worth something keeping an eye on. And just looking at its track, we'll be looking at this coming in towards the Harrisville, or just towards the west of Harrisville and the Ipswich area as well. Ben, thank you for the generous donation. And anything for Hervey Bay tonight? It really doesn't look like it. If thunderstorms developed further north, where they were more likely to develop today, we would be talking about maybe a late night squall going into the Hervey Bay area. But yeah, I don't think we'll see anything until at least late tomorrow night into the Hervey Bay area, if not early Tuesday morning, when a bit of rainfall and storm activity will come through, mostly of the non-severe variety. And just north of Taroom as well, we have the remnants of a supercell thunderstorm up there. Taroom got smashed yesterday, but yeah, it looks like we've got a bit of a dying supercell thunderstorm now developing in this part as well. A bit of a rotation couplet trying to develop around Gadinga. Definitely haven't pronounced that correctly, but yeah, nothing crazy happening up there, which is good. We've got big thunderstorms, big outback thunderstorms over in the Channel Country as well. Cloncurry has been peppered with thunderstorms throughout the course of today. Small hailstones confirmed there, and some very strong wind gusts. But of course, our main story is this cluster of supercells towards the north of Toowoomba, moving into the Blackbutt area right now. They're not showing signs of upscaling just yet, but they're still very, very strong, potent thunderstorms. And for locations in front of them, they need to be ready for some pretty substantial impacts, potentially some large, if not giant, hailstones we could be talking about on these severe thunderstorms here. They're still really going quite strong, and they look like they're developing as well. They're pulling in more cell activity. Like we can see just outside of Peachy here, a bit more of a thunderstorm beginning to develop through here, and this will then pull away towards the Esk area. It looks like Esk has just so far had a few dribbles of rainfall, nothing too serious there. Maybe in the next 15-20 minutes that will begin to pick up. Thank you, Dan, very much for the generous tip. Potential for Redcliffe, not tonight. That's the general theme here, like we talked about just then for the Brisbane area. Redcliffe is just too far away from these thunderstorms, and they've really only got a window of opportunity over the next hour, maybe hour and a half, and they're super slow moving. I mean, in the past hour, they've moved from this first red line here to the yellow line, basically where those cells are. So if we extrapolate that and continue drawing it hour by hour ahead, even if they pick up the pace a little bit, it's just going to take them at this current pace hours to get to the coastline. And by then, the conditions would have returned to stable across southeast Queensland. Not going to happen for Redcliffe, not going to happen for Caboolture, not for the Sunshine Coast, Brisbane area either. The only place that I foresee getting thunderstorms in southeast Queensland will be ahead of these Warwick cells here, which could bring them out towards Harrisville, potentially Boonah, or even Killarney, depending on where this cell begins to move. Still a bit of a discrepancy between major forecast modelling, but yeah, we will have to wait and see on that one. Tornadoes, nah, not today. The conditions just not right for tornadoes. Not as good as yesterday's conditions, and if nothing happened yesterday, then we're not going to see tornado activity today. It's just the way things go. Now, of course, if you are brand new to the channel, please do consider subscribing to never miss out on the latest information on these severe thunderstorms. Of course, live coverage all through storm season and tropical cyclone season as well, so please consider subscribing. Famous last words in terms of tornadoes. I mean, conditions are just not favourable for them. They could happen. I mean, when we see supercell thunderstorms, tornadoes are always an above zero chance, but today, it's not looking likely. There's just not enough shear in the environment to get these thunderstorms really spinning in the way that they're meant to, and as such, that tornado threat is very, very minimal right now. But I would like to say for ESC, monitor this situation closely. It would be overkill to get into a safe spot right now because these thunderstorms still, whilst they are very dangerous, they're a long way away time-wise from ESC. Oh, it's just one big cell now. And yeah, like Bomb said, about half an hour away from the ESC area. Damaging winds, large hailstones, intense rainfall. And yeah, intense rainfall because this is a high precipitation storm mode. A lot of heavy rainfall within it. A lot of lightning also within it. It's quite a moist environment for this thunderstorm, but also it is incredibly slow moving, as we've been talking about. It's barely moved in the last hour. It's just so slow, this severe thunderstorm here. And that's why it has been tagged as very dangerous. Flash flooding will be occurring underneath this thunderstorm. And of course, if this thunderstorm does get any closer to population centres, I would recommend getting off the road and out of harm's way. Protect yourself from the rainfall that will be coming in from this severe thunderstorm. Yeah, it'll be dying off before it gets to the Sunshine Coast. In fact, already just having a look at how large this convective stack is becoming, it looks like it's going to begin upscaling pretty soon, probably in the next half an hour or so, because this thunderstorm is blowing up dramatically. It is. It's an incredibly tall thunderstorm as well. It's not often that we see thunderstorms this high. Yesterday they were substantially taller, but minus 65 degrees for a cloud top. That's the temperature of the top of the clouds. That gives us an indication that the clouds are at least 12 kilometres high, probably even higher than that, to be honest. Very tall for a thunderstorm, particularly in Southeast Queensland. I wonder if we've got that severe thunderstorm warning in the northeast of New South Wales. It'd be a bit of a stretch to call that a severe thunderstorm warning, but no, it's been labelled as a severe thunderstorm. And again, for large hailstones, heavy rainfall and damaging winds. So this is this thunderstorm here outside of Bonnelblow. It's not an especially strong thunderstorm here. It has performed better over the last hour or so. So this is its track over the last hour. And it looks like it is now a bit of a dying cell. It really doesn't look like it's doing anything too crazy. And yeah, now that it's heading up into the mountainous regions, it actually looks like it's beginning to really fizzle out and die off as well. Will these storms break up on the range and not hit the Nambour sunny coast? They're not necessarily going to break up on the range. They're just going to upscale, and then as the conditions return to stable in the environment, they're going to fall apart basically. So conditions are just not favouring storms making it out to the Sunshine Coast. Honestly, like this storm here, I'd be surprised if it made it to CyclonesOZ, a severe thunderstorm. But Rose, thank you for that generous donation as well. But yeah, if these thunderstorms made it out towards Kilcoy, even more, with that incredibly heavy rainfall and severe thunderstorm potential, I would be quite surprised. Yeah, because as you can see over the last especially the last 20 minutes, this is a 1 hour loop that we're looking at right now, but in the last 20 minutes there's been a lot more of that red rainfall and even more lightning activity beginning to develop. So this thunderstorm here is already showing signs of upscaling, where it's going to turn into that squall line pretty soon and continue on its march towards the east. So yeah, I don't think it's an overly concerning severe thunderstorm. It's not a potent severe thunderstorm, put it that way. And for the Sunshine Coast, it's not something to be concerned about. I wouldn't be worrying about this at all. I wouldn't be staying awake. I wouldn't be monitoring the situation, losing sleep over it, that's for sure. It is still, I mean, it's definitely still a supercell thunderstorm. It's throwing out some very strong winds. It's got rotation in it. The instability that we have across Southeast Queensland makes me think that giant hailstones are most certainly a possibility. And considering that we do have these rotating updrafts moving through this thunderstorm. Yeah, so if we just pause this on the latest radar frames, you can see defined hook echo here, A little bit of a hook echo, a little bit harder to tell, but we've got a pretty strong rear flank downdraft coming into this thunderstorm here. In fact, you can really see that on that this is just towards the east of Peachy here in that little circle that I've just made. That is likely an RFD coming into this thunderstorm, so that's where we've got very strong winds, heavy to locally intense rainfall coming through. That could drop 20 millimeters in 5 minutes. And considering how slow moving these thunderstorms are, those numbers really wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, it's quite a strong storm. And again, like we've got that little rotation couplet through here just towards the south of Mount Binga. Not to mention rotation through here, rotation around here outside of Yarramah. You guys are probably getting smashed with heavy rainfall as well right now. So it's all happening. It is all happening with these thunderstorms. They're definitely black and green clouds here towards the Glasshouse Mountains, Upper Caboolture. Yeah, so Upper Caboolture in the Glasshouse Mountains, so through here, looking out towards the west, particularly over towards the west-southwest. Looking over those ranges out towards the Wivenhoe Outlook, you'll be seeing those green clouds, which would be an indication of heavy rainfall, or very heavy rainfall, locally intense rainfall, and potentially large, if not giant, hailstones within this severe thunderstorm here. So that report makes me think that this does have giant hailstones, which is not what it is being severe warned for. But because it's moving over mostly national park as well, we're not going to get confirmation on whether or not it's throwing out giant hailstones, because obviously there's no one out there to confirm with us if there's giant hailstones unless there's chasers in the middle of a national park. We can make an educated guess looking at reflectivity. And when we're seeing numbers here like 65 decibels, giant hailstones are very much a possibility, but in terms of like the actual giant hailstones, we want to be seeing 70 plus. So most likely large hailstones within this severe thunderstorm, right over the top of Yarraman right now. And yeah, actually right over the top of Blackbutt as well. So Blackbutt, make sure you do remain inside. And anyone on the road between Yarraman across towards Moore, including Blackbutt, get inside now, get off the road, pull over. This rainfall is very, very heavy. We're also likely to see these thunderstorms very, very soon move over the A17 here. So this very heavy rainfall is going to funnel through between Blackbutt and across towards Banarkin and Moore. We could be seeing some flash flooding on some of the tracks adjacent to the road here, and the main highway as well. We may be seeing some flash flooding, so just take it easy if that's somewhere that you're heading in the next couple of hours. 8 centimeters stones at Gulga Creek. Far out. If this is throwing out 8 centimeter hailstones, one, I would be very, very surprised. Oh, so that's the Gulga Creek there. That's Granite Creek. That's Waterfall Creek. So, wow, we'll be very... If this is throwing out 8 centimeter stones, that's incredibly large hailstones for these types of reflectivities. That's not an official report, though, so we're going to have to keep an eye out for that official update from the Bureau of Meteorology. Yeah, it will fizzle out before it gets to the coastline for sure. Guaranteed this will not make it to the coastline. In fact, it's not likely to make it within 30 kilometres of the coastline. My personal take on these thunderstorms is that they're going to move through this location here. They might get out towards Kenilworth. To be honest, as dangerous severe thunderstorms, I'd be surprised if they made it out towards Kilcoy. Lowood will maybe get clipped by something. It's a chance right now. Gaddon, highly unlikely. Toowoomba, as we've discussed, not going to see anything. Ipswich is a very small chance right now. Brisbane is also an extremely small chance, probably bordering on zero. I think it'd be wise to call Brisbane a 0% chance of thunderstorms later today. And Caboolture as well, a very low chance of seeing significant severe thunderstorm. Caloundra, Maroochydore, pretty much a 0% chance. Same deal with Noosa. Up towards Gympie, even Kingaroy. Unless this cell here can go bananas, this developing cell, which has really struggled in the last kind of 20 minutes or so, unless this can go bananas in the next 5 minutes before heading in towards Kingaroy, we're not going to see anything in the Kingaroy area either. Warwickshall is struggling a little bit. It looks like it may be being absorbed into this one here that's pushing in towards northern New South Wales, up towards Wollongong. It's not a very strong thunderstorm, this one either. And then cells out here beginning to pass away as well. We've got that strong, probably supercellular thunderstorm now moving up towards Theodore. We've got a pretty strong reflectivity reading as well, pushing close to 60 decibels, in fact 63 decibels. That may be throwing out some pretty large hailstones as well. And then a couple of strong thunderstorms, severe thunderstorms right out through the Channel Country and the Gulf Country in northern Queensland. Not an awful lot of lightning coming from those thunderstorms though, all things considered. So they're obviously a little bit weaker as well. No NATO for Warwick today. Nah, no tornadoes. We've talked about that. No tornadoes today. No, Brisbane is fine. Be aware it would be included in that. I'm not going to say it's a 0% chance because obviously these thunderstorms are still moving towards those areas. And they could miraculously hold on. We've seen strange things from supercells before. We saw strange things from supercell thunderstorms yesterday. But in terms of the chances, they are very, very small chances. 8 centimetre confirmed now at Gulga Creek. So these are very dangerous severe thunderstorms for giant hailstones. That's shocking. I mean, we've got the instability for those giant hailstones today. Yeah, we've got the instability for giant hailstones today, but we don't have the we just don't have the shear for these powerful supercells. So shear must be a lot higher than what the forecast models were suggesting. The fact that we've got 65 decibels though coming back on the reflectivity readings here, and this is definitely not the best radar to be using. My radar scope is going somewhere between 68 to 72 decibels. And that would constitute giant hailstones, potentially getting close towards 8 centimeters. That's huge. Now I wonder if that was a crow's nest one, because that one was quite strong. I'm just trying to find where Gulga Creek is on this map here. It doesn't look like it's going to load in for us. But yeah, crow's nest, if that's where these strong thunderstorms were, you guys dodged a bullet, that's for sure. A lot of these places along the A3 have really dodged a bullet from these thunderstorms. They could have been a lot worse today for those areas. So Crow's Nest, Hayden, Hampton, you were all in the firing line. But yeah, definitely dodged it. Yarraman, Blackbutt, very strong. Is the Bonalbo storm over the border in towards New South Wales very severe? I mean, it's difficult to call this a severe thunderstorm as it is. I mean, 47 decibels is just a heavy shower, basically. So it's strong, and it constitutes a severe thunderstorm likely on the damaging wind side of things. But yeah, I don't think it's anything special personally. Big hook echo south of Lake Cressbrook. Big hook echo south of Lake Cressbrook. No update from Bomb. Let's see what the radar has to say. Yeah, really big hook echo developing in that RFD that we circled about 10 minutes ago, and very strong rotation couplet as well. Not far away from the radar site. Blocked off in a small capacity by a storm that's developing right on top of Crow's Nest. This cell here is really maturing up right now. Oh wow, yeah, 8 centimetre hailstones dropped by it. Just got the confirmation now from Southeast Storm Chasers. That's a massive stone. Yeah, wow, righto. And it's a circle as well. It's a perfect circle, this hailstone. Yeah, incredible. So we've got that confirmation of giant hailstones. 8 centimetres is huge. And if we continue to see stones similar in size to that, we're going to have a pretty big storm on our hands, a pretty significant threat. But this Crow's Nest one, a storm to watch. Giant hailstones up here at Yarraman, and also some really big hailstones, including some intense rainfall, lightning activity as well in both of these cells as they move slowly towards the northeast. Caloundra, nothing likely. Yeah, it's expected to fizzle out before it gets towards the Sunshine Coast. I'm not expecting anything to make itself towards the Sunshine Coast at this point in time. I'd be surprised if we saw thunderstorms getting down into the Sunshine Coast today. It's just the conditions are not conducive for it. So yeah, 65 decibels here. Definitely some more significant, definitely much more significant than I thought it would be. We don't actually have any observations in these areas. Yeah, Caboolture, nothing. No, 65 decibels. I mean, yeah, 65 decibels is like a room temperature conversation. But a room temperature conversation, an inside voice, sorry. But 65 decibels is also a metric for measuring precipitation intensity. So as we've been explaining in previous streams, the higher those numbers, the more intense precipitation coming back at us. And once we start talking over 70 decibels, we're talking about the giant hailstone risk, which we have obviously seen today. Menarchen, Blackbutt, all in the firing line. Linville as well in the firing line by the looks of things. We're just going to cross the A17 here. More could also be in the firing line, and as it gets up towards the Brisbane River. Yeah. Quite a significant storm. This has definitely been an outlier compared to what the forecast was suggesting today. Can't hear me in the rain falling in Blackbutt. Yeah, so you'd be having hail there. Now, likely nothing significant in the way of hail. I'd be thinking, what, about 3 centimetres or so in the... Yeah, probably about 3 centimetre hail in the Blackbutt area, but you'd also be talking about some locally intense precipitation in the Blackbutt area too. You'd be talking about some very heavy rainfall. Normal day for Brisbane, yeah. Yeah, Cloncurry's had some pretty strong wind gusts. I've actually seen a video of small hailstones falling in the Cloncurry area. Definitely a bit of a hectic day up there. They see big thunderstorms this time of the year, but they definitely had some strong ones. Grape-sized. Yeah, so a couple of centimetres. Not that big. Just towards the south of Blackbutt, I imagine there's some really large stones beginning to develop down there, or fall from the sky. They would have already developed, but we'd be having some very large stones towards the south of Blackbutt. But yeah, definitely around the Blackbutt Township, Benarken, and then off towards more. It would just be a bit of heavy rainfall right now with, like you said, some embedded hail in them. Any live footage? We don't have any good webcams in the area apart from just road ones, because a lot of this area is either national park or just rural property. But I will keep tabs on the webcam footage around these thunderstorms here. It doesn't look like anything is looking too interesting on any of these webcams. No, Gold Coast will miss it. Really good lightning show. Yeah, you can say that again, that's for sure. Giant hailstones. 8 centimetre hail at Googa Creek, 5:15 p.m. So for the northeastern Toowoomba Council area, parts of the South Burnett, all of the Somerset, parts of the northern Lockyer Valley, and into a very small section of the Moreton Bay forecast district, you have a very dangerous severe thunderstorm headed your direction, and Kilcoy, Gymna-esque, all under notice for this very dangerous severe thunderstorm. Crow's Nest, it will be an all clear in the next 5 minutes or so. Fingers crossed at least. But we just have had that cell developing over the Crow's Nest area in the last couple of minutes. So not quite yet for the all clear around the Crow's Nest area. This is like is a complex system of storms. It's a multicellular big cluster of supercell thunderstorms. So it's throwing out a lot of precipitation. It's developing. It's pulsing in and out. Yeah, it's doing its thing. Kegel cell is failing out now. Yeah, the cells over in the northeast of New South Wales. They haven't been anything special today. Even this one here, which you can see in the last hour, its track has been far from flash, and really in the last couple of minutes it's beginning to fade out. And even this Warwick cell here, which we've been watching for the last hour or so, it's tried to get itself going. It's extremely slow moving, but it really doesn't look like it's trying to do too much unless we see that second cell just towards the southeast of Warwick begin to develop shortly. But that also doesn't look overly likely right now. Big overshooting cloud tops ahead of these thunderstorms too. That Theodore cell as well, this is one that we need to keep an eye on. Very strong rainfall accumulations likely in this one. 62, 65 decibels. I'd be keen to see how much rainfall is actually occurring in this cluster of thunderstorms, this jumble of thunderstorms here outside of Blackbutt, Moore, Crow's Nest. We would likely have some very intense rainfall developing in those thunderstorms there. I don't think we have anything yet. Well, we do actually. We've got a couple of observations here. Red Bank Creek has had 37 mil in the last hour. Crestbrook Dam has had 29. Both of those locations, off the top of my head, are not actually in the thick of these thunderstorms. This is at the Crestbrook Dam area, which is on the southern side here, which actually hasn't had much in the way of rainfall. And then the Red Bank areas was over here. So to see 37 millimeters or whatever they had in the last hour means that we may have been looking at falls between 50 to 100 millimeters here in the last hour. That's very heavy rainfall for severe thunderstorms, especially at this time of the year in this part of Queensland. That's some very heavy stuff. Still though, going strong. Lots of heavy precipitation, 65 decibels still, and then small to likely medium-sized hailstones outside of the Yarraman, even large hailstones in a few spots. Yeah, 8 centimetre hailstones, it is huge. Pouring in Banarkin, wind just getting going there, yeah. These thunderstorms aren't too significant with the wind. When I say not too significant, we're talking 90 kilometres an hour, as opposed to yesterday's thunderstorms, which had gusts to 130 kilometres an hour. So there's a pretty big difference between those gusts. Yarraman will get worse, I believe, at least briefly. We've also got this developing cell here towards the south of Yarraman. Yeah, just through here, we've got this developing cell here that's pushing in towards the Yarraman area. So lightning and rainfall likely to continue for the Yarraman area. Blackbutt likely to be at its worst in the next 30 seconds to a minute or so. Of course, I have to ask kindly, if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing so that you get all of the latest weather forecast information here. Thank you kindly to everybody that has subscribed as of late as well. And yeah, just to show you how little they've moved, I mean, they're really beginning to get themselves going now. These thunderstorms are now beginning to move off a little bit more, but just south of Banarkin, they've been under that intense precipitation for at least the past hour. And in fact, a few of these spots have been under that intense precipitation for the last 2 hours, in fact. So, super slow-moving thunderstorms. And a few of these spots are getting absolutely smashed with that extremely heavy rainfall. Not letting up anytime soon either. Relentless, absolutely relentless. And the thunderstorm situation through Southeast Queensland just over the last couple of days can be classed as relentless. Just pause that here. Latest imagery suggests potentially a small cell firing outside of... Oh no, that's a waning cell. That's really, really not doing too well here south of Vonalbo. But yeah, we will see this cloud move into the Brisbane area, particularly towards the south of Brisbane into the Gold Coast. Maybe we will see a light bit of rainfall pushing around the Rathdowney area, potentially through parts of the Scenic Rim and even into the Gold Coast hinterland eventually in the next hour or so. But I personally wouldn't be expecting anything in the way of heavy rainfall at all. And the only way that heavy rainfall develops is if significant severe thunderstorms develop here, which they're trying to around Warwick, but the environment is now just not conducive for them. Now that we're getting close to 6 o'clock local time, yeah, now that we're getting close to 6 o'clock local time, we're not seeing this rainfall or this thunderstorm potential increase. It's now decreasing. Why isn't the storm moving east? It is moving east, it's just moving east very slowly, and it's also blowing up new cells left, right, and centre. I mean, it's just blowing up, consistently creating convection, consistently creating more thunderstorms within it, more cells, and that's why it is still moving towards the east, but it's developing cells behind it, so that's why the appearance of the movement of this thunderstorm is quite twisted. It's also an incredibly slow moving thunderstorm as well, so we need to keep that in mind too. Yes, this is a supercell. It's been confirmed as a supercell. I mean, supercell thunderstorms are the only ones that can throw out 8 centimeter hailstones, not to mention the fact that it's also rotating, and we can show that it's rotating with the Toowoomba radar. In fact, it looks like it might be... Oh, we've got that hail cell though, so the Toowoomba radar is pretty much redundant because it's looking through a hailstorm. But yeah, let's look at the Brisbane radar here. Having a look at that, you can see a little bit of contrasting, especially outside of the Yarraman area. This is looking quite high up, so take it with a pinch of salt, but we do have that little bit of weak rotation in these cells. You can't really see it on the screen, but these are confirmed supercells as per the rotation that we're seeing. But yeah, now that we've got this cell developing just towards the northeast of the radar, it's going to be very difficult to tell, at least from the Toowoomba radar perspective, how strong these thunderstorms are or how intense precipitation is, because they're going to be protected, or they're going to be out of sight to the radar, because of course now the radar's got to look through a very powerful intense thunderstorm to ascertain how strong the other thunderstorms are, or the other cluster of thunderstorms is. That's why the Marburg radar is so important, because when we've got strong thunderstorms in Toowoomba and strong thunderstorms in Brisbane, it's just very difficult to ascertain how strong some of these storms are. Thank you very much, number one computer shop at Ipswich. Extremely generous and a big supporter of the streams over the last couple of days. I look forward to the email as well. Very, very kind. But yeah, of course, if you have any questions or comments as well, let me know in the chat. I'll get back to as many of them as I can. But in terms of concerns, just to answer concerns of the Sunshine Coast, Caboolture, Brisbane, Logan City, Ipswich, Gold Coast area, the chance of thunderstorms is extremely minimal today. I know the Bureau of Meteorology, I believe they actually had the severe thunderstorm warning put in their forecast. That's the Perth forecast. They actually have the severe thunderstorm. Yeah, so slight chance of a shower and thunderstorm, possibly severe with damaging winds, hail, heavy falls. That's weird because BOM normally do that only when severe thunderstorms are going to occur, or are highly likely to occur, and Brisbane was never going to be a good chance of thunderstorms. In fact, pretty much everywhere in this area on the coastal side of that blue, on that purple line, was always going to be a very, very weak chance of seeing these severe thunderstorms. So both Brisbane and the Gold Coast, you're not expecting anything today in regards to severe thunderstorm activity. It's very unlikely. And in terms of just general thunderstorm activity as well for both Brisbane and the Gold Coast, very, very unlikely right now. The places that are likely to see significant severe thunderstorm activity, though, include, well, Yarraman is obviously copping it badly right now. Blackbutt as well copping it. Bennekin, whatever it's called, the town just towards the east of Blackbutt, copping it as well. More copping it. Kilcoy is a weak chance because even though they're so close to it, I mean, these thunderstorms towards the south, they're still at least an hour, if not an hour and a half away from Kilcoy. They're that slow moving. 7 to 8 centimetres hail in Yarraman. Yarraman's a bigger town than where the official report of 8 centimetre hailstones have came through. That's a massive concern if that's happening. Wow. Incredible. Doesn't surprise me though. I mean, just looking at this thunderstorm here, it's releasing its load on top of Yarraman. Overshooting cloud tops, it really is textbook strong severe thunderstorm. But yeah, conditions in the next 10 minutes should begin to ease off for Yarraman. So stay inside, stay out of harm's way from these thunderstorms. Linville, stay inside more. I would recommend now getting inside. Blackbutt, remain inside. It looks like we may be seeing a bit of a round 2 developing here, which is going to go for both Yarraman and Blackbutt. Stay inside, stay out of harm's way from these very powerful severe thunderstorms. Toogoolawah as well. I would recommend getting the car inside, cleaning up the backyard. Just one last minute check of the scene over in Toogoolawah. And even Crow's Nest, I would recommend getting inside now and remaining inside throughout the duration or the remainder of this severe thunderstorm, which is just towards the north of Crow's Nest, but rapidly developing and heading towards the east. Crow's Nest, get inside now. Esk, again, close to the thunderstorm activity. Definitely getting a good light show, that's for sure, but these thunderstorms are a long way away from the Esk area time-wise, so I think for Esk you're still fine unless we see cells beginning to develop, which we are sort of in this general area here, heading towards the Esk area. But I wouldn't be overly concerned in Esk right now for severe thunderstorm activity. And even outside Kilcoy either, I wouldn't be overly concerned, even though these thunderstorms are extremely dangerous and a little bit too close to for comfort. But more Linville, you guys are next. Get inside and remain inside throughout the duration, or throughout the remainder rather, of this extremely dangerous severe thunderstorm outbreak with 8-centimetre hailstones at Googa Creek, which I believe is right here just outside of Yarraman. A very dangerous situation. If you have enjoyed the coverage this weekend, consider subscribing, please. Give you access to the first notification on when we are live next in regards to the severe thunderstorms, because once this outbreak is over, we're going to be looking ahead for the next one to keep everybody informed and in the know. Crow's Nest, that is a big cell now beginning to develop. It could be pushing right in towards the Crow's Nest town as well in the next kind of 10 minutes or so. Again, very slow moving, and it's basically on top of you guys, but again, these extremely slow-moving cells. Latest radar imagery suggests large, potentially giant hailstones towards the north of Crow's Nest. 65 decibels. We would be talking about giant hailstones there. So for those just north of Crow's Nest, remain inside and in your safe spot. Giant hailstones in the vicinity. Considering that we've seen 8-centimetre hailstones today, you need to make sure that you are off the roads in this very dangerous severe thunderstorm warning. Inside, and I recommend, just with the consideration that these thunderstorms are very strong, getting under a table once these thunderstorms do arrive. You've got plenty of notice ahead of these thunderstorms because they are very slow moving, but definitely remaining inside, out of harm's way, under a table, under a bed, under a mattress, just something that's going to protect you in case hail does fail your roof. Yarraman's still getting absolutely smashed right now. Blackbutt as well, it is beginning to ease off, but we also have this second part of the cell here, the Yarraman one, very, very strong, and that is heading towards Blackbutt as well, so conditions will ease off temporarily, but like the eye of a cyclone, the worst is still yet to come, and for Blackbutt, I recommend remaining in your safe spot, inside, out of harm's way, for at least the next half an hour, if not 45 minutes. Again, these storms just so slow moving. You can actually see, we've got our main cells through here, but you can also see the black area or the darker brown area with those ziggy marks in them where the lightning has been. That's not in the last 10 minutes, that's lightning in the last hour. So these thunderstorms, they've moved incredibly slowly. This is the distance from an hour ago to right now. It's a matter of kilometers. These thunderstorms are just extremely slow moving. We've got an update from Chris McFerrin from Southeast Queensland Storm Chasers. It looks like, weather photography rather, Southeast Queensland weather photography. Incredibly beautiful thunderstorm structure, but it looks quite high based, and he's down in the Warwick area, so he's looking at this thunderstorm here. High based thunderstorms are not likely to go dangerously severe, not in a setup like this. And conditions are beginning to become a lot more stable for these thunderstorms as well, which means we're likely to see a reduction in storm severity chances. This Crow's Nest one, though, that is particularly concerning right now. So Crow's Nest, again, make sure you are inside, out of harm's way, protected from this severe thunderstorm outbreak that is right on top of you guys. Bennekin, Blackbutt, Yarraman, Linville, up towards Nanango as well. Nanango. Thunderstorms developing right up there as well. Lightning is mostly towards the south, but we will not be riding out heavy rainfall and potential hail for the Nanango area. And then eventually on towards Jimna, Kilcoy, Toogoolawah, and even Esk. And now an interesting cell beginning to develop around the Lowood area. This will be one to watch. If this can get itself going, this will go in towards Lowood pretty soon. 8 centimeters, 3 inches. Incredible. It is just the size of these hail, or the size of this hail, not just today, but especially yesterday. 9 centimeter hail. Unconfirmed reports, but I mean, I saw the photo myself of that hailstone outside of Clifton, 10 centimeters. Just extremely large, giant hailstones, extremely dangerous, life-threatening stuff. And that's what we've been seeing this storm outbreak. Still with some pretty insane reflectivity readings here. Up into the 60s still, and the Yarraman cell still producing 60s as well. Blackbutt got a very, very potent hook echo now moving in towards the Blackbutt area. That's some big hail and potentially some very strong winds as well. That is something that we will have to watch extremely closely. That could pack a very, very big punch. So Blackbutt, big, big storm. Or the second half of a big, big storm moving into that area. Let's see if we've got any rainfall updates as well in the last hour. Big accumulation so far. I mean, we've had, as mentioned, 39 millimetres at Crestbrook Dam, 32 millimetres at Redbank Creek, 19 at Eskdale, 16 at Aramba, 5 millimetres at Blackbutt. But again, that's yet to update. If we still get the readings from Blackbutt, that would be impressive. Likely some very intense rainfall. If we can get an estimate for how much rainfall we've had in the Blackbutt area, that would be great. But yeah, this hook echo is incredibly impressive. It is very, very impressive. It's very defined. And what does Doppler make of it? Extremely powerful rotation. Wow. So you can see this deep blue colouring here with that yellow colouring right next to it. So that's our rotation. Blue winds coming towards the radar, orange winds heading away from the radar. So that is indicative of that cyclonic rotation here in this supercell thunderstorm. Sometimes this means tornadoes, particularly over in the United States, but for Australia, we need visual confirmation to call a tornado, and I haven't seen any signs yet that tornadoes have been confirmed across Southeast Queensland. These thunderstorms, I mean, the hail that they're dropping makes it possible, but it also doesn't make it overly likely, so we will keep that in mind. But this is an extremely strong, potentially, not a potentially dangerous thunderstorm, it's an extremely dangerous thunderstorm. The USA just has all of the ingredients for tornadoes. Flat ground, lots of it, lots of humidity, fuel, dry air, moist air coming through. Convective available potential energy values are about twice as high on a standard day over in the United States compared to Australia. And that's kind of what's propped up the hailstones today. And that's why I was so certain that giant hailstones were developing in these thunderstorms, even before they were warned for giant hailstones. But earlier today, in this area, we had convective available potential energy values into the high 2000s. In fact, closer to the coastline, we've had these values here right now, approaching 3,500. Those are huge numbers, and that means we've got massive instability in the environment, very conducive for significant supercell thunderstorms and giant hailstones. And that's why these thunderstorms have dropped the size of the hailstones that they have, because the instability has just been through the roof today. Lightning continuing for Benark Blackbutt area. Blackbutt, hunker down. The rainfall and the hail is about to begin once again, and that RFD, which is coming in on the other side of this supercell thunderstorm, which is rotating in this direction here, we're likely to see a bit of an RFD. Strong winds coming out of the north into the Blackbutt area are going to very quickly around to strong winds coming out of the south, and for Blackbutt, you guys are about to get smashed by the second half of this very powerful and dangerous supercell thunderstorm moving in the vicinity. Now, this cell has passed towards the north of Crow's Nest and spared them a very significant impact. This cell here is moving in that northeasterly direction as well, which will eventually throw Benarken, but especially Moore and Linville, Moore being here and Linville up here, into the firing line of this hail core as well. So yeah, there is significant potential. Ipswich, you will be all good, as we've been talking about for Brisbane and Southeast Queensland. Whilst we are now beginning to see a few thunderstorms developing, have a look at this. Just as of late, some thunderstorms developing along this line here. We talked about this for Lowood. We may be talking about a small chance into the Glasshouse Mountains area across the northern parts of Caboolture. But in terms of strong thunderstorms, or severe thunderstorms for that matter, making it into the Sunshine Coast, highly unlikely. So 5:27, that was over half an hour, or nearly half an hour ago now, but 8 centimetre hailstones is the maximum of what we've seen so far. Extremely powerful, severe thunderstorm. But the risk areas right now is for, obviously all of the areas ahead of these severe thunderstorms, but then also potentially eventually through the Wivenhoe Outlook, and then through the northern parts of Caboolture up to about Caloundra. Keep in mind, again, these thunderstorms are slow moving, so even though they're right here now, in the next hour or so, they're going to be moving into the Beerwah and the Bibarrum area towards the north of Caboolture, and they're likely to be substantially weaker by the time they get there because conditions are just a lot more stable and a lot less favourable. We're now looking at 6 o'clock in the evening for these parts of Queensland, so it's getting late on, and normally after about 6 o'clock, these thunderstorms are fully upscaled and beginning to develop into high precipitation squall lines. So that's not far around the corner right now. Ray, thank you for that very generous donation. But yeah, these thunderstorms, they are spectacular, they are. Do I rest? That's what this week coming is for. We haven't rested. I've had maybe about 4 or 5 hours, maybe 6 hours of sleep this weekend. So, but that is all good. Toogoolawah, well, you guys are, as we've mentioned, in the firing line for this strong thunderstorm here that's in the making. That's got some small hailstones in it, maybe about 20 minutes away from the Toogoolawah area, but I would definitely recommend getting inside right now. Yeah, this weekend was crazy. It was absolutely nuts this weekend. Rest when you're dead. That's what it's like in storm season, that's for sure. Rest when it is dead. Will there be a big storm in Brisbane? Not today. Eventually there will be. What about Esk? Esk is in the firing line. Let me just find Esk here. Esk is right here. We've got that developing cell just towards the south, and these cells here are now beginning to move along. Like I said, beginning that upscaling process. Esk will see a brief period of heavy rainfall in the next kind of 10 to 15 minutes or so, but maybe some small hailstones as well. I don't think we'll have anything too crazy though into the Esk area. Nothing in the way of large or giant hailstones. Maybe some strong winds and some brief periods of heavy rainfall, but again, like I said, nothing crazy. Woodford, let's watch this cell here. Woodford being right here, Bibarrum here towards the north of Caboolture, Beerwah here towards the north of Bibarrum. And then we've got Maroochydore and the Sunshine Coast and Caloundra and North Bribie in this area. Now this cell here is beginning to develop. That could have some large hailstones in it. However, it's likely to all join up pretty soon and become just an upscaled rainy mess. Thunderstorms will likely weaken off as well as they get themselves a little bit further towards the north. So in terms of the risk for the Sunshine Coast, it's pretty minimal at this point in time, even though we're now beginning to see thunderstorms developing in the general vicinity of the Sunshine Coast. This Warwick storm is the most stubborn thunderstorm that I've tracked all weekend. It's just refusing to move, refusing to develop. It really is not. And then now the Lowood storm throwing out a bit of lightning as well. Lowood, I would recommend moving inside now, moving the cars inside. Some small, potentially large hailstones into the Lowood area. Now very much a possibility. 6 PM in Queensland, yeah. No, I'm trying to answer all of the super chat questions, but the chat is moving fast. I'm only looking at it on my phone, so there's only so much that I can do, unfortunately. I appreciate all of the donations, but it is not a pay-to-play server, that's for sure. It is a send your question in, and fingers crossed I answer it. If not, send it again. Strong reflectivity readings still on these severe thunderstorms. Just flicking it back to the Bureau of Meteorology radar, seeing if we can see anything new outside of the Toowoomba radar. These storms are now showing some pretty significant signs of upscaling, which means the giant hail threat is going to begin to ease off pretty soon. And then the heavy rainfall threat is going to continue by the looks of things. But yeah, Blackbutt's still a giant hail threat. And at the very least, it's going to be a lot of small hailstones. Massive thunderstorm and lightning show. Yeah, so more is just off here. I reckon in more, the rainfall's going to progressively get heavier in the next 10 minutes, and then it's going to absolutely pour down. If not, it will just continue at that moderate rate. Linville, though, guaranteed that it will pour down in Linville in about 20 minutes' time. Now, a lot of lightning developing here just towards the southwest of Mount Mee. And this storm here, a bit of lightning also developing outside of Maleny, and then out towards the Woodford area. These are areas that we need to be watching, as a bit of a line of storms continues to funnel up in this area of Queensland. Southeast of Brisbane, nothing. Nothing in the southeast of Brisbane expected. Nothing likely to occur either towards the southeast of Brisbane. What a hailstone that was that came out. So much lightning activity. Now, Blackbutt is thrown into the core of this severe thunderstorm here, and likely happening now into the next 10-15 minutes or so. The rainfall is going to be very, very heavy. Hervey Bay, nothing up there. Lightning should be visible so far. Oxley, I believe that's a suburb in Brisbane. Looking all good today. Thank you for the generous donation as well. Risk of tornadoes? No. Maroochydore, the risk of hail in Maroochydore is very minimal. It's not a 0% chance of hail in Maroochydore, especially if these thunderstorms here get themselves going. I mean, if we actually see supercells developing from these thunderstorms, or organised thunderstorm activity moving towards the Maroochydore area, which is kind of where these thunderstorms are tracking towards. But in terms of organised supercell thunderstorm activity, highly unlikely, and it's still about an hour and a half away from Maroochydore, so I think putting the cars away may be overkill. But if you've got the time to, and then it's probably worth it. I would say it's probably worth it. Yeah, so the storms in New South Wales have completely carked it. It's now too late up there. But yeah, it's definitely getting close to dark. Sunset not far away, which means those storms are going to begin to weaken off. This Theodore storm is very strong still. It's not throwing out much lightning, but it is potent. It's powerful. And if we actually have a look at the Taroom radar loop, not only is it very slow moving, but it is also throwing out a bit of rotation. Quite a strong thunderstorm, a nice little nugget out there. That'd be a very pretty storm to be chasing. I envy any chaser that is out there. But yeah, these thunderstorms are now showing signs of upscaling. As you can see, they're kind of all joining together in a bit of a cluster. Still got that thunderstorm here outside of Crow's Nest, which is on a collision course, like I said, for areas north of Linville or up towards Linville. Michael, thank you for that generous donation. But yeah, for right now, these thunderstorms upscaling, which means the giant hailstone risk is going to drop, and the significant severe thunderstorm risk is also likely very quickly dropping as we speak right now. Starting to see lightning, yeah. Yeah, the humidity has been insane. Obviously, when we're talking about thunderstorm outbreaks like this, humidity is a ongoing factor. But yeah, the humidity has been relentless through Southeast Queensland. Very significant reflectivity readings between Yarraman and Blackbutt. Oh, we should have an update on what rainfall has fallen as well in this area. This will give us a very good idea in terms of what we can expect moving forward. Only 10 millimetres. I refuse to believe that. 26 millimetres south of Blackbutt here, 42 at Crestbrook, 38 at Redbank Creek on the Brisbane River outside of Esk. That sounds like boogies. 8 centimetre hailstone so far, the biggest that we've seen. And in terms of that severe thunderstorm warning, still waiting for an update, but as you can see from BOM, very, very slow moving. The severe risks are now beginning to build, though, around the Kilcoy area, with all of these areas up, between this kind of yellow bracket, at risk of seeing severe thunderstorms. Oh yeah, 80 millimetres, that makes a bit more sense. I wouldn't be surprised if we've seen 80 millimetres through all of these areas. Big, big rainfall. That would cause some pretty substantial flash flooding in these locations as well. So, I mean, Southeast Queensland obviously built for these massive rainfall accumulations, but 80 millimeters in probably between 30 to 45 minutes, that would cause some flash flooding. Would have been relentless. Crow's Nest dodged the thunderstorms, and I'm happy to call now an all clear for Crow's Nest. Lowood, not likely to see much, but rainfall is going to pick up there in the Lowood area very soon, and through the Wivenhoe Dam as well, rainfall likely to pick up pretty shortly. Ipswich looks like this cell is going to pass towards the north, and even if it heads on this continuous easterly direction, it doesn't look like it's going to clip the Ipswich area, so maybe eventually into the Brisbane city area, but by then it will just be a bit of showers. Still a lot of lightning thrown out by this one here towards the southwest of Mount Mee, and this Woodford storm is putting some heavy rainfall numbers down. Looking at those rainfall accumulations, 50 decibels, heavy rainfall, maybe even some small hailstones. Storm to watch. Because if we do see severe thunderstorms, we'd need to see something around this area here develop into a severe thunderstorm before it got to the Sunshine Coast, and then we would be talking about a Sunshine Coast severe thunderstorm threat, which I've stated is not overly likely, but a weak possibility right now. A weak possibility. Of course, if you are brand new to the channel, consider subscribing for the latest information, hopefully the greatest information as well, in regards to the severe thunderstorms across Southeast Queensland. Brisbane, no threat, but when the threat does return to Brisbane, which it will soon, you'll be the first to know about it. Nanango. Yeah, if you look towards the south, you'll be seeing some pretty interesting clouds, and Mulmatis ones at Nanango, which is here, and that'll be looking into this thunderstorm here. But the threat for Nanango is very, very minimal right now. Even with the way this thunderstorm is developing and moving, it's going to, at the absolute worst case scenario, only clip Nanango, and heavy rainfall would be the only thing possible there. Nothing in the way of large hailstones, so again, nothing to be worried about. More Linville inside now as this severe thunderstorm approaches. To Coolawah as well, I'd recommend starting to put the cars inside ahead of these severe thunderstorms. We've got a pretty potent cell here, which developed about 20 minutes ago around the Crow's Nest area, and that's going straight for Toogoolawah. Whilst it will be weaker by the time it approaches Toogoolawah, we could still be talking about some pretty heavy impacts there. Heavy rainfall, large hailstones, all a possibility. So one to keep an eye on. Yeah, this thunderstorm here just south of Lake Somerset. Heavy rainfall, potentially some small hail in that one too. Woodford, likely nothing. But these are all cells that we need to keep an eye on. They've developed pretty quickly as well. And as they continue to move closer to the coastline, it's something we're going to have to watch. Luca, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor as well. Noosa, not likely. Gympie, not likely either. The only places on the Sunshine Coast that are likely to be impacted with any kind of measurable significant impact here, I mean, possibly Caloundra or Maroochydore, most likely between Maroochydore up to about Coolum. And at the absolute worst, it will just be heavy rainfall. Noosa not likely to see anything. As we just said for Noosa, not likely to be anything up there. Oh, Luca, that is extremely generous, and thank you so much for doing that. And on behalf of all of the news channel sponsors as well, thank you very much. No update just yet on this bomb warning. Oh, we actually had the requested standard emergency warning signal. So this is Esk, Toogoolawah, Moore, Lake Wivenhoe, Linville. So I repeat again, if you are in Esk, Toogoolawah, Moore, Lake Wivenhoe, and Linville, this is an emergency situation. And that includes Blackbutt and Banarkin as well. Yarraman in about 5 minutes, all clear there. And this is moving into the Banarkin National Park. Oh, Luca, that is very, very generous. Thank you very, very kindly for that. But yeah, Moore and Linville, you guys are next. There is some big hailstones in this severe thunderstorm. There is some big potential for some really serious stuff. Blackbutt, you guys are just not getting a break. You guys are not copping a break at all. These thunderstorms are developing just towards your south and towards your southwest, and yeah, that is significant. A lot more rainfall forecast to move through those areas. Chris McKenna, that is extremely generous as well, and thank you for the information in regards to the Cloncurry storm as well earlier. Looked pretty good, and it looked like it threw out a bit of good rainfall as well, so fingers crossed. Ooh, that's a big update. That's some pretty big reflectivity readings as well. 65 decibels at the Mount Bingo National Park, and this is towards the south of Blackbutt, going straight for Moore. Moore and Linville are really going to cop it, just as Blackbutt and Yarraman have. Yeah, that's concerning, that is. Toogoolawah, your threat is minimising by the looks of things. This cell here doesn't look like it's anything too crazy or too strong. Esk, a bit of rainfall starting up there now. We'll check back in on Lowood. A bit of rainfall now moving into the Lowood area too. And a good thunderstorm now moving into the Lowood area that's going to clip the northern side of Marburg. This is an upscaling line here now towards the southeast of Kilcoy. Not too much of a concern. The rotation on these storms is not strong. It's not crazy. It's not strong. We can check back in on it though. I think our best bet is to look at the Marburg radar. But yeah, north of Marburg, you might be looking at some large hailstones right now in the Marburg area. And that's the thing. This is why we track thunderstorms live. But in Marburg, there is a chance of some pretty strong thunderstorm activity, particularly towards the north. Lowood, Fernvale, Glamorgan. And then eventually on towards Ipswich. Just with the way that this thunderstorm's moving right now, northern Ipswich, I'm putting you on notice. We'll look at one more frame of this thunderstorm here. But the precipitation rates suggest large hailstones. And considering its trajectory, that does actually throw Ipswich into the mix of things here. If this thunderstorm gets itself going as it heads down towards Ipswich, we will be talking about large hailstones. So Ipswich, watch out. Brisbane as well, by extension, I would recommend keeping an eye on the radar and the latest updates as well with this severe thunderstorm potential. This is now likely a severe thunderstorm too. That's some pretty intense reflectivity ratings, 57, 58. We're pushing in towards large hail territory there as well. And all of this stuff here is beginning to upscale into one large storm system, and that's going to get itself going off towards the north soon as well. Helen Fire, the Mattis cloud. Oof, I'm no expert in clouds, unfortunately. That is a question that I just cannot answer properly, but they happen in strong severe thunderstorms, particularly supercells on those overshooting cloud tops. But thank you for that donation. Yeah, these storms that are developing along this line here, they could throw Brisbane into the mix of things. Now, the thing with the storm towards the outsides of Caboolture, just with the way that it's headed, it's also extremely slow moving in nature, but it looks like it's going to head over towards Mount Mee, and at the absolute worst, Beerwah and Beerburrum could be in the firing line. Small hail in Teela. The Marburg one likely not to be very dangerous unless it continues to intensify a little bit. Rosewood, huge thunder and lightning at Marburg. Yeah, this is a very quickly developing severe thunderstorm. That should get a severe thunderstorm tag. Yeah, Ipswich, put the car inside. Just get the cars inside now. Get the cars under cover. Clean up the backyard. This is your last chance to do so. Yeah, the thunderstorm here is about 15 minutes away. This is a call that I'm making with, which could be a bit of a coin toss, just considering the volatile nature of these thunderstorms here. But the fact that we've seen a thunderstorm develop pretty much from nothing now just outside of Marburg, and the fact that it is actually quite strong, it's throwing out a lot of lightning. And if we actually have a look at the reflectivity readings here, 56 decibels, we'll be talking about grape-sized hail moving into the Ipswich area in about 10 or 15 minutes time. So 5 minutes from now, somewhere along that yellow line, 10 minutes from now, pushing in towards Ipswich up towards Mount Nebo, and about 15 minutes from now, it'll be pushing in towards the Greenbank area, or the Redbank area, Ripley area. And if it's still severe by that point in time, it could be moving in towards Brisbane as well. So Ipswich, get inside now and move the cars inside. This is a precautionary message. This is not a imminent threat message. But it's much better to be safe than to be sorry, and I'd be very happy to be proven wrong and to be overreacting here. Also, quite a strong thunderstorm here. Woodford, you guys are going to be in the firing line for this thunderstorm here, but particularly up towards the Diagla area. Wamarun as well, Beerburrum and Beerwah, watch this situation closely. Glasshouse Mountains, you could all be under threat from a powerful, severe thunderstorm in the making. These are developing way too close to the coast now and way too close to population centres for them to be just... yeah, 57 decibels is not a sprinkle. 57 decibels is 2, 3, 4 centimetre hailstones. So, yeah. Well, yeah, this thunderstorm's developed out of nothing. That's why the opinion has changed. That this is why I'm backtracking on my Ipswich forecast, because this thunderstorm has developed from nothing in a stable environment. Because thunderstorms do that, they have a mind of their own, and that is why we run live coverage to give the most up-to-date and the latest information to everybody in this in the path of these storms. It's the only way to do it properly. But yeah, two big thunderstorms now getting close to the Brisbane area. This one here is producing some very heavy rainfall, potentially some large hail as well. And I'm very, very keen to see the next Bureau of Meteorology update on this. I'm not saying anything for the Brisbane area just yet. We would need a lot to go right for the thunderstorm, for severe thunderstorm activity into the Brisbane area. It's not got strong winds. This Marburg one and this Ipswich one doesn't have strong winds, and it's not a supercell. It's definitely not rotating. We may be looking at some rotation beginning to develop now on that storm outside of Woodford, which is going up towards the north of Caboolture and into the Glasshouse Mountains. Yeah, it's got a powerful hail core. There's no tornado warning current. These thunderstorms are not strong enough to produce tornadoes, and the conditions are not favourable enough to produce tornadoes either. But yeah, Ipswich, this has a hail core, especially the northern suburbs of Ipswich, so north of the M2 and the Bremer River up towards the Brisbane River. You will be impacted by hail. The Ipswich town area as well is in the firing line, but in terms of where the most likely impacts are going to be from this hail core, it doesn't look like they're going to include the main Ipswich area. So... yeah, Ipswich may dodge this. They're likely to dodge this, but just in case, take that precaution, get the cars inside, get everything ready, get everything ship shape ahead of this imminent severe thunderstorm threat into the Ipswich area. And again, that is why we run this live coverage. Yeah, hail is amazing, isn't it? When we have those cool temperatures in the atmosphere that cool very, very quickly on severe thunderstorm days, yeah. Whereabouts is Umundi? I'll be able to answer that question if I know, generally speaking, whereabouts it is. But yeah, just checking back in on our cells up here. Blackbutt, round 2 coming in about, well, it's not round 2 at this point in time, it's closer to about round 5, coming in about 5 minutes' time. Heavy rainfall, locally intense rainfall, and potentially some large to very large hailstones around that 4 centimetre size. Linville and Moore about 5 minutes away from now. Or maybe 10 minutes for Linville, 5 minutes for Moore. The Crow's Nest thunderstorm looks to be running out of steam right now, but it's still a strong one. And this Woodford storm, just outside of Woodford, that is strong. 55 decibels, that will be exhibiting a hail core. Moving over Marburg right now, 54, 55 decibels. That would also have some hail. And just with the way that is tracked, I mean, it's throwing out those hailstones on towards Marburg as well. Bomb has updated. All right, let's have a look at what the Bureau of Meteorology is saying. Brisbane City area now under that severe thunderstorm warning. Now, Bomb reckon that the Ipswich one is going to pass off into the Ipswich area. Yep, so Bureau of Meteorology expecting hail in Ipswich, and this thunderstorm here now moving towards the east of Kingaroy has still been keeping that very dangerous tag. And also that Woodford thunderstorm, as we expected, has that severe thunderstorm tag as well. Now, these thunderstorms are not expected to be long-lasting. We've got 7 centimetre hailstones at Yarraman, so far it's still giant hailstones there. But yeah, hail core in Ipswich, so we're talking large hailstones, 3 to 4 centimetres in diameter. Potentially damaging winds, but I'm not seeing anything too strong in the way of winds here. It looks like this thunderstorm is just a pulse one. So pulse thunderstorms last between 30 minutes to an hour. This thunderstorm's been going for the past 20 minutes already, so time is ticking. It's probably about halfway through its life. 10 minutes from now, it's going to be pushing in towards Ipswich. 20 minutes from now, it's going to be over the Ipswich area, and about half an hour from now, where this last line is, it is going to be moving in towards the western suburbs of Brisbane. So what we expect from this, in terms of this getting over towards Ipswich, it's going to be a weakening thunderstorm, but it's still likely to drop some hailstones into the Ipswich area, so it's going to be something we have to keep a close eye on. And then this thunderstorm up here as well, also a pulse thunderstorm, but it has shown signs of rotation on the Doppler radar. We're talking about this thunderstorm here towards the south of Kilcoy. Considering that is showing distinct signs of rotation, it may be a supercell, and if it's a supercell, it's likely to last a lot longer than that half an hour time frame, which in 20 minutes brings it through Woodford, 40 minutes brings it up towards Peachester, and then Beerwah, and probably up towards Birrabum as well. But considering that it's throwing out so much lightning right now, it is likely on the verge of upscaling. No, Caboolture's not cooked. Maroochydore, large hailstones, unlikely as well. Nothing in the city. The Brisbane CBD area will remain calm. Yeah, northern suburbs of Brisbane, so we'll be looking at this lightning here, out here. But yeah, this thunderstorm moving off in this direction, so that is obviously of no concern to the Brisbane area. And of course, this thunderstorm here just impacting the Yarraman, Benarkan, Blackbutt, Linville, Moore area. And the very dangerous part of this severe thunderstorm expected to pass towards the east of Kingaroy. I'm not going to issue the all clear for Nanango just yet. We do still have some pretty significant impacts possible, particularly now that this thunderstorm is continuing to draw in moisture through here. Some of this stuff could clip the Nanango area in about 45 minutes or so. So for Nanango, Yarraman, Blackbutt, Benarkan, all clear is not just yet. Tornadoes are not going to appear, no. Steering winds look like across southeast Queensland. We've got these winds here in this area at the 700 HPA range out of the, or very, very weak, out of the southwest, or west-southwest, a little bit further south there, pushing towards the west, and that's why this thunderstorm's going into the Ipswich area. Let's just check up on the Doppler radar, actually, on the Woodford storm. Yeah, it's got a little bit of rotation going on in it. I mean, if we have a look at the latest satellite frames, we're looking quite high up here, but you can see that yellow splotch in that blue area. Now, that's a distinct sign of rotation, so this could very well be a supercell thunderstorm, and if it is a supercell thunderstorm, this is likely to last a lot longer and could throw Maroochydore and Caloundra under the threat of potential large hailstones. And then you can see the Marburg storm here, which is now pushing in towards the Ipswich area. It's still holding on pretty well. It's holding on really, really well. But Doppler wind does not suggest a supercell. This thunderstorm here doesn't have any rotation. It's just going to be a bit gusty, a bit haily, a bit rainy. So just to recap, we've got our very powerful supercell thunderstorms up here. And then we've got a question mark on a supercell with this thunderstorm here. In terms of rotation, it could be. And then the Marburg storm here is not a supercell thunderstorm. It's just a bit of a squally, gusty thunderstorm. Coolum Beach. The chance of Coolum getting hit today is looking on the lower side. Anywhere north of Caloundra is now possible, considering that we've got this thunderstorm here that's moving in this direction through the Glasshouse Mountains, but it's also likely to die before it gets itself towards the Sunshine Coast. So Coolum, we've got a big question mark, probably about a 10% chance, Maroochydore closer to about a 15% chance, and Caloundra back down to about a 5 or a 10% chance in there. Further inland, though, chances do begin to increase, probably about 25%, and then towards the west of Beerwah and Bibarrum up towards Kenilworth, probably getting closer to about a 40% chance of seeing a thunderstorm impact. Severe thunderstorm impacts likely to be pretty minimal out in those areas. If you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. We'll keep you posted in the next couple of hours as these thunderstorms move into the Brisbane city area in a non-concerning way. Yeah, blown up out of nothing it did. It just blew up, it did. It exploded. It absolutely erupted out of nothing. Have a look at this, minus 58, minus 60 degree cloud tops. Potent stuff. Our Warwick storm as well that we've been looking at is also beginning to cark it as it moves off. But yeah, this Ipswich one, very powerful. Still a good cell here, and the main action now beginning to become more multicellular in structure out around the Nanango area. Still not in the all clear up there. Very tall thunderstorms. Sun is setting across southeast Queensland, so the severity of these storms is going to begin to ease off. Very keen to see what wind gusts we'll see at the Amberley airfield. Right now it's at about 30 kilometres an hour, so nothing crazy. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what winds push into the Amberley airport area just ahead of this severe thunderstorm. Oh yeah, it'll fizzle out well before it gets to the Wide Bay area. I'm going to show you of that. Just kind of waiting for the next radar update here. There's less lightning activity now in this thunderstorm, so as quickly as it's developed, it's falling apart, or could be falling apart, which is a sign that it's a pulse thunderstorm. But 59 decibels, we're definitely walking on large hail territory. No tornadoes, no. No tornadoes today. And even this one here outside of Woodford, it's throwing out a lot of lightning, which is a sign that it could be upscaling. Yarraman's still getting peppered. Large, potentially giant hailstones still occurring towards the northeast of Yarraman, and giant hailstones very likely occurring just towards the south, which are now moving off on this direction here, which hopefully they continue doing so. Moore has just been on the receiving end of small hail. Linville as well on the receiving end of small hail, but it looks like we're going to continue to see conditions begin to better off. 2 centimetre hailstones from Ipswich. Sounds about right. Keep in mind, this is not a supercell thunderstorm, so we're not expecting giant hailstones, but a lot of small hailstone activity is expected in this severe thunderstorm as it moves into the Ipswich area. Developed from nothing, so that's going to catch a lot of people off guard. No update. Who am I kidding? It's only been 10 minutes since they just released that. Yeah, definitely not something that I expected this late on in today's outbreak. So much lightning in that cluster of thunderstorms. A bit more fresh lightning now moving in towards the Ipswich area. Won't be long till we see the latest radar update. And of course, our little thunderstorm here moving towards Woodford. It's showing signs that it's continuing to develop. If it's a supercell, it's going to continue to hold on to its incredible strength if it is developing incredible strength. But yeah, we'll hold on to it until it gets itself towards the Sunshine Coast. That is a storm that we have to keep tabs on. Semi-regular rumbles. Yeah, it's not a strong... The Ipswich one is not a strong thunderstorm, so we're not expecting crazy conditions from that Ipswich cell at all. It's just not happening. Brisbane... not likely in the Brisbane city area, but the western suburbs now will get the remnants of that thunderstorm that's going to move through Ipswich very, very shortly. Yeah, but the Brisbane cam would be looking impressive right now, but I haven't pulled it up and I don't really want to sift through looking for it again. I should have pulled it up before I started this screen, but I didn't actually think that we would be looking at a Brisbane severe thunderstorm threat today. Now, Brisbane's not going to be bad. The worst that we see in Brisbane is going to be strong winds and lots of small hail coming through But even that's going to miss the Brisbane area, and it looks like this thunderstorm will actually cark it by the time it gets itself into the western suburbs. The chance of the CBD actually getting a hit is pretty minimal right now. Yep, you'll be able to hear it. So Caboolture through here. There's so much lightning developing in this thunderstorm here. It's showing signs of rotation. That's the really crazy thing, and that's something I've been asking all day, is how have we seen supercell thunderstorms, particularly in this part of Queensland, even though the wind shear has been abysmal today. It's been terrible. Conditions have been so hostile to thunderstorms today through this part of Queensland. So the fact that we've seen supercell thunderstorms is just crazy. So either the forecast was wrong, which is the answer that I'm leaning towards, or they've just made the most of the instability, basically. Diagla getting hit around the Woodford area. Yeah, but I mean, the real stuff is still about 20 minutes towards your southwest. That's going to be coming in through thick and fast very, very soon. Glasshouse Mountains in about 30 minutes. I'll just wait for another update on the radar here. Some pretty good lightning strikes moving into the Ipswich area. It's a reasonable hail core on this system. I mean, that's some pretty strong signals of large hail. So I know we've got that 2 centimeter report so far, which is the largest I've seen, but it's 60 decibels. We could be looking at closer to 3, maybe 3.5 centimeters as well. But yeah, Ipswich, 10 minutes, I would say. And then, yeah, of course, as we've been talking about, Diagla, Woodford, get the cars inside now. This storm may have some pretty large hailstones in it. I mean, the reflectivity readings are nothing crazy, 58 decibels, but we may be talking about some large hailstones that could cause some damage to vehicles and also damage to property as well. So keep an eye on the situation over in Woodford and Diagla. That will also include Mount Mee as well, Wamarun, and then north of Caboolture, excluding Caboolture through the Glasshouse Mountains. Keep close tabs on the situation. And of course, our friends out in this part of Queensland, Yarraman, Blackbutt, massive thunderstorm still ongoing out here, 67 decibels. That's some really big hailstones, 65 decibels still through here. Giant hailstones occurring in those thunderstorms. So the Bureau of Meteorology forecast has that storm over Ipswich right now. Not quite, though. In all honesty, it looks like, yeah, that just takes it right over the Ipswich area. Right over the Ipswich area. So that small hail core. So about 10 minutes from now, it's going to move over Ipswich and into the Ripley area, and then potentially in about 15 minutes out towards Redbank and towards the north of the Oxley Creek and Spring Mountain. And then that will take it into the western suburbs of Brisbane. Raining in Ipswich. Yeah, the rain will be continuing to pick up there. Again, I would like to stress none of these thunderstorms, apart from one a lot further inland out around the Yarraman, Blackbutt, Banarkan, Linville, Moore, Nanango, and outside of Kilcoy, Jimna, and Kingaroy are particularly dangerous. None of these thunderstorms are storms to be overly concerned about. Kingaroy, we've got a developing cell there, but again, nothing to be particularly concerned about at this point in time. But we do need to be we're keeping very close tabs on these thunderstorms. It looks like this Ipswich one continuing to throw out more lightning, so it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Checking back in on the radar imagery here. This is a look at the Marburg radar. The Blackbutt storm still holding on very, very strong. This is old imagery though. No, it's not actually. It just has not moved. Big rotation around the Nanango area. So that's a strong supercell thunderstorm. But yeah, no rotation in the Ipswich one, so it's not a supercell. But the thing that I'm noticing, so that's Somerset Dam, which is right here. There's rotation in this thunderstorm. We can see it through here, that yellow contrast with the blues. So there's rotation in this thunderstorm here, which means it's likely to last a lot longer than what some of the forecast modelling is suggesting right now, and what the Bureau of Meteorology is also suggesting. I reckon that thunderstorm is actually going to make it towards the Sunshine Coast, but I would like to see just a few more frames of radar. Yeah, so just because there's rotation in the thunderstorm, it doesn't mean that it is a very dangerous thunderstorm. Yeah, hailstones in the Yarraman area have been up towards 10 centimetres. They've been huge today, once again. Been absolutely smashed. Once again, I mean, it's just been relentless across Southeast Queensland today. Even in the wake of the outbreak that we saw yesterday. Been absolutely incredible, crazy stuff. Yeah, I really hope that we don't see anything like what we saw yesterday again for a long, long time. This thunderstorm here is interesting. This one is really, really making me scratch my head. A lot of lightning being thrown out ahead of this thunderstorm here into the northern part of Ipswich, north of the Brisbane River, and a developing cell here moving in towards the Amberley area too. And also this Kingaroy cell now throwing out some lightning. Kingaroy, I would recommend, if you've got a few minutes, put the cars away just to be safe. But I don't reckon we're going to see hail in the Kingaroy area, and if we do, it will be of the small variety. Still whopper stones occurring outside of Yarraman, and the all clear is far from being given there. All clear though for the Mount Binga area, and I would say also all clear for Toogoolawah, Esk, Crow's Nest, all in the all clear. Even Kilcoy right now, I think we can comfortably say that they're not going to see anything too crazy. Linville and more though in the next couple of minutes, big stuff coming through there. Amberley Airport, winds gusting 32 kilometres an hour. That's 20 minutes ago. Just to check back in on these storms here on the close-up radar. So this is, yeah, a bit of a cell developing just to the south of the Amberley Airport as well. And if it has the same kind of lifespan as the, I mean, it's probably going to be heading a little bit further towards the north, which means it's going to join up with the Ipswich cell. But if these kind of have the same kind of lifespan, they could make it out towards the Logan area. But already it looks like the Ipswich one, as we can see on the latest radar imagery, it's beginning to show signs of decreasing in precipitation. Yeah, so the Ipswich one beginning to decrease in terms of the rate of precipitation that it's producing. And the latest radar imagery is beginning to show this thunderstorm. Whilst it is still quite strong and there's hail, that's the northern part of Ipswich that's going to cop the biggest hit from this severe thunderstorm. And of course, when I say the biggest hit, I don't mean it's going to get smashed or wiped off the map. I just mean that it is going to cop the most hail, the most rainfall, but it's not likely to be anything too crazy. A lot of lightning just very recently south of Amberley in this cell here. That's going to move towards Ripley. Ripley, I would recommend, particularly down along the A5, and right down towards Spring Mountain, and then eventually off towards Greenbank as well. I would recommend getting the cars inside, just in case this decides to drop some large hailstones. It's not overly likely right now, but a lot of this stuff, considering how quickly these thunderstorms have developed, we need to make these precautions. We need to take these precautions seriously. And that's why a lot of the forecasting that I'm giving right now, a lot of the words that I'm using right now are aggressive. Keep in mind, when we're talking about thunderstorms and forecasting thunderstorms, it's not going to be everywhere all of the time. But for the locations that do cop it, especially in situations like today, they cop it badly. So it's always important to be safe rather than to be sorry. No one's going to die. No need for panic. Just remain calm, but remain as prepared as you possibly can be. Lowood, all clear. Marburg, all clear. Gold Coast will be fine. Not seeing thunderstorms developing anywhere around the Gold Coast area, and I really don't see thunderstorms developing down there either. It's just convection that's beginning to fall apart down there. So much lightning now in this thunderstorm outside of Caboolture. So we're looking at this Woodford cell here. Woodford should dodge this thunderstorm. There's some large hailstones in it as it moves over the Diagla National Park, but Wamarun, Diagla, just trying to extrapolate the movement of this severe thunderstorm here, may clip the northern edge of Caboolture. So that will be a thunderstorm worth watching into the north of Caboolture. Again, I really don't foresee anything serious or anything dangerous developing out of that cell at all. It's just likely not going to happen. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. It would be massively, massively appreciated. And then, yeah, this Ipswich cell here. Well, the one south of Ipswich, the Amberley one, producing a lot of lightning right now. But both of these cells, and we're going to have to wait to see what they do in the next radar frame, it looks like both of them are going to begin to fall apart. Considering that it is night, stability is returning across southeast Queensland, and these thunderstorms will either upscale or fall apart. And because of the unfavourable conditions for these thunderstorms, including the dry air coming in from the west, they are going to, yeah, fall apart. It won't randomly beeline through southern Caboolture. There's just no way that that could happen. This is such a strong thunderstorm still. Yamarun getting smashed continuously with this large, if not giant, hail. Such a slow-moving storm as well. Blackbutt still getting smashed with this hail. And it looks like finally around the Linville and the Moore area, this part of the thunderstorm is beginning to weaken off, and it's just this extremely strong kind of supercell hook echo structure which is impacting the Yamarun area, clipping Blackbutt, missing Banarkin. But as it moves off in this direction here, we may see Linville get clipped, so that is a storm worth watching. Kingaroy, the risk is now not going to be that high for large, if not giant hailstones, so I wouldn't worry around the Kingaroy area at all right now. No, unlikely that Maroochydore is going to get hail. Bit of lightning now developing. In fact, a thunderstorm's just gotten going around the Kenilworth area. Just up here, we're seeing these cells beginning to develop. Even that Woodford cell, it's actually really slow moving. None of these thunderstorms are moving particularly fast, apart from that Ipswich one, which is really getting its act together right now. Interesting, that will be a cell worth watching. Ipswich 1 crossing into the Ipswich area right now, that reflectivity is now beginning to drop off, and even the one south of it, the reflectivity isn't anything too special either. So, not anything to be concerned about. And yeah, that radar now really showing signs that this thunderstorm's beginning to weaken off. But the Amberley one is still showing signs of strengthening. Yeah, winds didn't even pick up in the Amberley airfield. And they didn't even get any rainfall either. A storm towards the south could be worth a monitor though. No rotation in either of them. Even the rotation in the Woodford one is now beginning to pull away from the latest radar Doppler frames. So what that means is once the rotation is done with these thunderstorms and they get themselves going, they're going to fall apart very, very quickly. 60 decibels, we've likely got some large hailstones within this. Yeah, saw the storm on the Sippy Downs on the Sunshine Coast. Yeah, that was a pretty big one. Nothing for the Brisbane city area. These storms will fall apart. But I definitely reckon now we're going to see, considering the line that's beginning to develop, which will move off in this direction here, we will actually see a little bit of rainfall kind of in that box that I've very badly hand-drawn. So this includes Brisbane, Logan, Greenbank, Redbank, Strathpine even, the airport, the harbour. I definitely reckon we will see a little bit of rainfall developing in those locations. But nothing heavy, nothing too crazy. Nothing severe either. So yeah, slightly hit. Not in a significant capacity, just a slight hit, like a bit of a tap on the shoulder, you know? Nothing too significant or nothing too crazy. Anyways, if you haven't, please consider subscribing. I'll give you the latest updates on these thunderstorms as they continue to move through southeast Queensland. This Woodford one, though, I mean, it's so slow moving because in the last 30 minutes where it's kind of been developing, it's moved like along that purple track there. It's really not moved far at all. Developed over the Esk area and it's moved maybe about 30 or 40 kilometres. Thank you, Lizard King, for the generous donation and the kind words as well. It's great to have you watching. So with this thunderstorm that's moving very, very slowly, in the next 30 minutes, it's hard to believe that it's going to move any faster than what it is. And even if it does, it doesn't really get it out towards or as far away as Birbarum or even Birwa. So Woodford still in the firing line. Diagla also still in the firing line with this thunderstorm. But yeah, I don't think that there's too much to be concerned about in regards to this thunderstorm, particularly along the Sunshine Coast. So both the Sunshine Coast and Brisbane, if you do get something later tonight or today, it's going to be a lot weaker in comparison to what we're seeing right now. Non-severe in nature. Oh, they've labelled it as very dangerous. And both the Ipswich and the Amberley storm have been labelled as severe as well. And bombs expecting them to last a lot longer. Alright, so Kilcoy, Kingaroy, for locations between Kilcoy and Kingaroy, including Jimna, this is an emergency situation. Caboolture, a very dangerous thunderstorm passing towards the north. That's really, 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 really interesting. I mean, this thunderstorm has a hail core, and it is very dangerous here, but yeah, I don't think it's going to last the distance towards the north of Caboolture. I really just don't think that that's going to happen. 3 centimetre hail at Booville, east of Ipswich. So yeah, these thunderstorms are still severe in the Ipswich area and the Amberley area. So Brisbane not under a very dangerous severe thunderstorm warning yet. The way that it's going, it looks like they could be. They won't be, but you get what I'm saying. But between Harrisville and Amberley as well, this thunderstorm's been labelled as a strong severe thunderstorm 2 moving in this direction. And then of course our Ipswich cell here now looks like it's got a little bit more of an easterly path. So that would throw it into the suburbs around, well, between Logan City and Ipswich towards the north of the Greenbank military training area. But I would just say, considering the current situation here, anyone kind of within these lines where these hailstones are moving through, maybe a good idea to begin to move the car undercover. And this would go right up towards the Greenbank area. Just get the car inside. These storms do have hail, and it may throw down a few large stones. There's no tornado in the Brisbane area, no at all. Storms are breaking up. Yeah, they're going to continue to break up. They are. They're going to continue to break up and pull apart. This Caboolture one, though, just outside of Caboolture, it's the storm that we're going to have to keep very close tabs on. It's got a big hail core right now, 65 decibels. That's likely got giant hailstones in it. Yeah, Birbarum, we're going to have to watch this situation. There's no need to prepare just yet because these storms are so slow moving. We're going to have a lot of time before those thunderstorms become a problem. Woodford and Diagla, I'm putting you on notice now to begin preparation. Same with Mount Mee. In fact, in Mount Mee, I would recommend putting the car inside now. There is some giant hailstones just outside of the Mount Mee area. And same with the Somerset Dam as well. But for Birbarum, even though we've got thunderstorm activity developing, I really don't think it's a concern right now, this instant, but I'm putting you on notice to potentially have to act in the next 20 to 30 minutes or so. Yeah, and on top of all of that, I imagine a lot of people getting an absolutely ripper, fantastic lightning show right now, too. So, of course, any questions, leave them in the chat as well. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Got some lightning now pushing over the Brisbane River into the Greenbank area. And even this one here that's going to the south of Willowbank, 55 decibels, 56 decibels. It's a strong cell. It's not one to be shrugged off. So 7 centimetre hailstones, 8 centimetre hailstones is what we've seen so far. Massive, massive hailstones. So whilst the Ipswich one is still going, same with the Amberley one, they are beginning to appear to break up. And that is what comes at this hour. Even the one towards the Caboolture area, towards the northwest of Caboolture, not moving into the Caboolture area, still got some rotation. But it is looking a little bit weaker. 2000 Cape from Ipswich down to Beaudesert. Ipswich storm is in a pretty stable environment right now, so I don't think it's going to continue to intensify, but it is a minute possibility. Thank you for the kind words, Redbank, or Redback. And thank you for the generous tip as well. And Corbo, thank you very, very much. Lightning show near Mount Coot is unreal. Badly affected by storms are safe. Yeah, we can just hope that people that have been badly impacted by thunderstorms this weekend are safe, because they have had a long weekend. A lot of places have had a very long weekend with storms. Lots of lightning in Coolum, or some lightning in Coolum. Yeah, so imagine looking towards with Coolum Beach around here, imagine looking both towards the west-southwest and also the south-southwest. And also a little bit of lightning. You can see a few individual spots and speckles of lightning here closer to the Coolum area. That would be looking pretty good as well. Still, no shortage of lightning in these thunderstorms. So Ipswich one is now moving towards Archerfield. It's still got that hail core, so for those in the Archerfield area, within a few minutes of Archerfield, including Greenbank and the Greenbank Military Training Area, and then across the Spring Mountain area as well, and then through the suburbs around Ripley and towards the northeast and east of Ripley, you have a severe thunderstorm or two severe thunderstorms moving in your direction. Get the car inside, stay inside, avoid non-essential travel, and hunker down from these severe thunderstorms, which will be brief but sharp. Heavy rainfall, lots of small hailstones possible, and even a brief period of damaging winds also a possibility. Leanne Melik, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor. No tornadoes. No tornadoes. And even the winds from these thunderstorms are pretty tame, as we've confirmed with the Doppler radar imagery. Mount Me inside now, and for all of those in the Diagla National Park, it is time to be inside into your safe spot away from the large, potentially giant hailstones moving in to the Diagla, Werriman and Woodford area. Now, just north of Dayboro as well, we are now beginning to see a separate cell develop. This will clip Caboolture. It's moving in this direction here. Caboolture, I'm now putting you on notice. It's possible, but only if this cell that we've just labelled here or circled develops and matures a little bit more. It's not overly likely, but if it continues to do so, we'll be watching the Caboolture area quite closely. But if a cell developing down here towards the southwest of Harrisville, that will eventually go on into the scenic rim. All these thunderstorms moving pretty much west to east and pretty quickly as well. The setup for these storms was great. The only factor missing was wind shear. If we had a high wind shear today, we would have had a better setup for thunderstorms than we had yesterday. Deborah. Thunderstorms to the Gold Coast. I mean, if these thunderstorms can keep themselves going, they will eventually move into the northern parts of the Gold Coast. And even if we see more development down here north of Aratura, but the chance of the Gold Coast right now, very much dependent on that, but is also not overly high or elevated right now. Debra, thank you. Severe thunderstorm warning for Brisbane. Yeah, we've been looking at this over the last couple of minutes. We do have that severe thunderstorm warning. In the Brisbane area, it's large hailstones, damaging winds and heavy rainfall. Further north, for those very dangerous tagged thunderstorms, this one and this one, it is for giant hailstones, locally intense rainfall, and some damaging winds, potentially destructive winds as well. No tornado at all. One to 2 centimetre hail at Mogul. Yeah, so none of the hail in these storms is particularly big. It's not even really that substantial or severe. It's not really that concerning. But it's still hail, and it's still something we need to keep an eye on, and it comes with a brief period of heavy to locally intense precipitation. So, again, worth keeping close tabs on. We'll have a look at the next frame of the Mount Me storm here, but it looks like it is breathing in and out. It may develop. If it continues to develop, then I will call Caboolture in the risk area. Piercing in Red Bank, no hail. Yeah, so as this thunderstorm moves through, we're moving into the Red Bank area. Oh, here's Red Bank Plains. The rainfall is going to be really, really heavy. There is no tornado. There is no forecast tornado. And yes, there will be moderators next storm outbreak. Learned my lesson. Pea-sized hail in Willowbank. Yeah. So these are your very typical, as Wandering Weatherman Nico called them, garden variety thunderstorms. They're not concerning or severe or anything crazy like that. We're just talking about some weak thunderstorms here and there. Nothing to be overly concerned about. Garden variety thunderstorms. So for this time of the year, not significant, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing to be substantially concerned about. No pictures coming through on my stream. No update yet on the radar either. Very keen to see what's happening radar-wise. 60 decibels, so it's a little bit weaker than where it was. And then this thunderstorm up here is really quickly upscaling. Kingaroy still seeing some pretty substantial rainfall precipitation rates and probably a lot of small hailstones around the Kingaroy area right now. So not quite in the all clear just yet. Same deal with Nanango, not quite in the all clear. Yamaran, Blackbutt, definitely not in the all clear. Banarkan, not in the all clear. More though now, most likely in the all clear. Toogoolawah, also as mentioned, in the all clear. Esk in the all clear. Kilcoy, likely in the all clear as well. Sizable hail core on that Amberley cell, and it's quite slow moving as well, so... Oh wow, that very quickly upscaled that Caboolture storm. So the Caboolture storm, if we just keep an eye on it, you can see how the precipitation goes from like black and quite ominous looking to, yeah, being pretty tame looking in the latest frame. Still lots of small hailstones in it, but not as strong. And even the thunderstorms further off around Yamaran and Blackbutt as well, they're a little bit weaker as well. Patriotic Aussie, thank you for that generous donation and the kind words as well. No need to give anything to these streams, but I really, really gratefully appreciate it. Yeah, so Caboolture itself still is a bit of a wild card, but just with the way that these thunderstorms are moving into the Caboolture area, I definitely reckon we're going to see a period of heavy rainfall develop pretty soon. And potentially some hail as well. These thunderstorms are no longer moving up towards the Maroochydore area like we did expect. It looks like these thunderstorms are now beginning to track kind of into the Glasshouse Mountains, which could mean that they clip Caboolture. But the fact that there's no fresh lightning in these thunderstorms tells me that it is now beginning to weaken off a little bit. So one or two more radar frames and I'll be able to make a bit of a call in terms of what we're expecting. in the Caboolture area. Still quite a lot of lightning, particularly on that Amberley cell. Definitely some large hailstones in there as well. I would imagine we're probably looking at hailstones about 3 or 4 centimetres. There's no tornado. There's no threat of a tornado either today, so yeah, not something we're concerned about in any way, shape or form. Oh. Now that storm has moved through the north of Ipswich, and it's not going to be long until it moves in towards the Brisbane area. Brisbane CBD likely to just be clipped by some sporadic large raindrops. The hail core, if it's still got hail in it, is likely to only make it out to this area here towards the southwest of Brisbane. Flick me an email, Catatonic. Please consider flicking me an email. And then for the Spring Mountain area, I mean, this thunderstorm here towards the south of Ipswich, that's just going to pass over, well, it's passing south of Ripley right now, and it will move over the Spring Mountain area and through the Oxley Creek, but by the time it gets itself out to the Greenbank military training area, or Greenbank itself, it's likely to be substantially weaker and also likely not dropping hail. So these two thunderstorms, not of much concern, and the hail is now so small, if it is still even occurring, that I don't think it's a concern to warrant putting your car away or making preparations for this severe thunderstorm. It's a severe thunderstorm, but it's still just that garden variety stuff. Yeah, so the storm further north... Oh, wow, that Kingaroy storm has just blown up. Good thing we said to Kingaroy, get things inside. Coolabania, inside now. Nanango still not in that all clear, that's for sure. Julianne, thank you for that kind vote. Coolabania, we're likely to see some large hailstones there. That's a strong thunderstorm now beginning to develop just outside of Kingaroy. And it's developing from hardly anything as well. Nothing in the way of strong winds there, but they had 4 mil come through very quickly in just a few minutes. Still really going, that Mount Binger storm towards the north of Mount Binger, whilst Mount Binger isn't seeing hail. That Blackbutt storm and the Yarraman storm weakening off now, but it still is quite strong. A lot of swirls in it. So the Kingaroy one is not a supercell by the looks of things because there's no rotation within it. Oh wow, that Caboolture storm's just fallen apart. As soon as it lost its rotation, far out, that is so much weaker now. It's still throwing out some lightning, and we've got that cell here now moving towards Nobble Creek. That may go towards Redcliffe, but it will be a lot weaker by the time it gets there. But yeah, if this makes it towards Caboolture, which it is likely to do, same with Bibaram and Birwa, there's not going to be any hail in it. I can practically assure that. And it's just not going to be a dangerous or a risky potent storm or anything, so nothing to really be overly concerned about. Still though, Caboolture, you need to monitor the situation closely. Woodford, not out of the woods just yet. If you've put your car inside at Mount Mee, don't take it out. Avoid non-essential travel pretty much everywhere in this circle here. That will include Bibaram and even parts of Caboolture, particularly over in towards the western parts of Caboolture as well, towards the west of the M1. And consider getting home now, I reckon, around the Redcliffe area. But yeah, I really don't think the Caboolture one's going to be significant at all. Still got some good hail here in the Ipswich one, but again, as we've been talking about, it is weakening off, and the fact that there's a lack of fresh lightning, particularly on that northern cell that's moved through Ipswich and now getting towards the Archerfield area, and now they're both kind of conjoining up in towards one cell. we're likely to see these storms upscale and weaken off dramatically pretty soon. And now that we're getting closer to 7:30, oh, it's just turned 7 o'clock across Queensland, conditions are becoming a lot more calmer and stable, which means there is a substantially reduced threat now for severe thunderstorms. The threat is not zero though, so we do need to keep that in mind. No update just yet. See, and it's got Logan under that severe thunderstorm warning, but I mean, as we've been talking about, these thunderstorms are weakening quite quickly now by the looks of things. I mean, 10 minutes ago, moving in towards the Ipswich area, we had 3 centimetre hailstones. I'd be surprised if we had 2 centimetre hailstones right now, and if we continue to extrapolate that, by the time it gets towards Archerfield, it will be P or smaller sized hailstones, if it's hailing at all. So I reckon as by the time it gets itself into the Logan City area or down towards Logan Village, there's really not going to be much left of this thunderstorm here, and the Brisbane City area is also not expecting to see anything either. Yes, Brisbane is safe. Everywhere in Southeast Queensland, apart from these in this massive, severe supercell thunderstorm complex, is safe. As long as you don't obviously walk out when it's hailing. If you do that, yeah, these are the storms, like I've been saying, garden variety storms. They come through thick and fast, bit of crazy stuff for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then that's it, they're done. Bit of shower activity behind it. But yeah, provided you take the precautions that I'm recommending, staying inside during these thunderstorms, you're fine. Likely some giant hailstones now outside of Kingaroy. Or probably even occurring into parts of Kingaroy as well. So Kingaroy, remain inside. And if you've got any updates as well, let me know. No update. It's a very rapidly evolving situation. Normally with these thunderstorms, like what we saw yesterday, we would be looking at them and they wouldn't change much over 20 minutes. But these thunderstorms are changing on a minute-by-minute basis. Still got a bit of a hail core that's going to pass just to the south of Archerfield. And we've still got likely some hail developing or beginning to weaken off now south of Amberley Airport. And in this area here, now moving over the Oxley Creek catchment, so these sort of mountains here will likely have a little bit of hail as well. Nah, by the time they get to Southport, they'll be done and dusted. Maybe a crack of lightning and a brief period of heavy rainfall, but that's the absolute worst case scenario. So where it's likely hailing right now, in this circle, and then in this area here, that's where the hail is likely occurring. But we're talking 1 to 2 centimetres. And it, again, like really weakening off as well. Yeah, mandarin-sized hail in Yarraman. They've had 8 centimetre stones up there. And our old mate up here in Woodford, weakening off. And even this storm here moving over Dabbero. This storm is not strong at all. So what we're going to see in Caboolture, it is fine. The conditions are going to be fine there. But we will see a brief uptick in rainfall, potentially 2 to 5 millimetres. Again, nothing crazy there. Maybe some strong wind gusts. We may even see some very small hailstones, particularly into the southern area of Caboolture. But these thunderstorms are not strong and not concerning at all into the Caboolture area. Jeez, it just continues, it does, outside of Yarraman. Now towards the north of Coolbinio as well, outside of Kingaroy. Extreme precipitation rates in this area. Yeah, just crazy, crazy stuff. And this is kind of about it. It looks like these thunderstorms are now they're all beginning to weaken off a little bit, even though it looks like these thunderstorms are still holding on to that intensity, and it will take them a while to weaken off because they are just so strong. Yeah, now moving out of Kingaroy. I reckon we can give the all clear to Kingaroy very, very soon. Pretty strong wind gusts as well. Thank you, Red Vista, for the kind words and the kind donation as well. Much appreciated. Blackbutt, can we give the all clear there? No, because we still have the tail of this thunderstorm. So Yarraman and Blackbutt still got the tail of these storms here that are moving north and northeast. Even more in Linville, it's pretty difficult to be able to give the all clear there. But anywhere towards the east, the west of this line, so that will also include Kingaroy in just a few minutes. All clear for these severe thunderstorms, and that includes our places such as Kuya, Maidenwell, Brooklands, Cumbia, Crow's Nest has been in the all clear for a while, and that also goes for Toowoomba as well. Yeah, so Kingaroy had that thunderstorm develop right east, right on top of them, and then that moved further towards the east, out towards Nanango, so that's where the real stuff was. But Kingaroy spared. If that storm developed 5 kilometres towards the west, we would have had some pretty big hailstones in the Kingaroy area. If you are brand new to the channel, consider subscribing, and I will have more updates on these severe thunderstorms as we go through storm season. Lots and lots of live coverage ahead in this storm season, so to get access to it first before anyone else, make sure you are subscribed. Yeah, all of these storms now are really beginning to wane off. Archerfield likely picked up some good hail though. I definitely reckon we've had some respectable hailstones at Archerfield, 2, maybe 3 centimetres. Ipswich, we've had widespread reports of 2 centimetre hailstones. But yeah, definitely for the Archerfield area, 2, potentially 3. And then that storm that moved over the Dayboro area, just a bit of intense precipitation into Samsonville, north of the Samford Valley. That is not a thunderstorm to be concerned about, even though it has just thrown out a fresh lightning bolt. But yeah, like I said for Caboolture, nothing serious is expected. I wouldn't call it a non-event for Ipswich, though. We did have that hail. So just towards the south of Ipswich, we still have that thunderstorm, which means I'm not calling it all clear for Ipswich just yet. But in terms of a large hail threat, there's no risk of it anywhere through Southeast Queensland, Brisbane, Gold Coast, anywhere like that. It's just going to be that small hail stuff through the Archerfield area and potentially some small hail stuff around the Oxley area, pushing it towards Greenbank in the next 20 minutes. But apart from that, that's it. And this will all begin to wane down in the next kind of 15 minutes or so as well. So really not a concern going forward now. But it's been interesting. I mean, it's been a lot more impressive than what I did expect. These thunderstorms out in the Yarraman area around Blackbutt, they're going to continue for a while by the looks of things. Conditions are still favourable late into the night, and we will be seeing some very strong thunderstorm activity. So you need to keep an eye on the situation for these areas up here, right in this outline. So Jimna, Goomeri, eventually Gympie, but by then if it does get out towards the Gympie area, it will be dramatically upscaled. Keep an eye on the situation. Very recently though, we've just had this cell developing north of Cooree here. That's on a track up towards Rainbow Beach, so Noosa will get a bit of lightning activity by the looks of things. But further inland is where this storm is going to pass, and not expecting too much out in those areas. Looking forward to going through this chat afterwards and blocking everybody, that's for sure. Still a heap of lightning here. And some very big hail, 70 decibels now, on top of Coolabina, or Coolabina, rather, outside of Kingaroy. Giant hailstones most certainly occurring there, 8 centimetres plus. Thank you, Huchu. Hopefully something upscales for Gympie. I mean, I know that they're hanging out for some rainfall, so some more rainfall up there would be much appreciated. But again, it will be weaker by the time it gets up there, non-severe. But I do really appreciate that tip. But yeah, just to reiterate, there is no tornado. No tornado, and there is no risk of a tornado either through Southeast Queensland or anywhere in Queensland, frankly, today, tomorrow, or going forward. Yeah, I'm considering moving to Brisbane, put it this way, yeah. Hail in Forest Lake. So I'd imagine Forest Lake is just around the Archfield area. There's some pretty solid precipitation. 61 decibels. Not to be shrugged off. Yeah, like I said, for Archfield, likely some small hailstones there. Still some strong signals of potentially large hailstones. Potentially a little bit further north in that. Oh no, not in the Caboolture storm. That's just completely collapsed in on itself now. So Caboolture, I'd be surprised if Caboolture got a drop of rainfall now. It was never looking too likely for Caboolture, but yeah, I'd be surprised if they even got a drop of rainfall. And it also looks like, just looking at those wind observations, the conditions around the Kingaroy thunderstorm aren't anything too crazy anymore either. 50 km/h wind gust. And even this storm around Blackbutt is really quickly upscaling. So the next radar frame is likely to show that these thunderstorms are now getting a lot weaker, and we've still got that very dangerous cell, as mentioned, just outside of Kingaroy. Oh, so this is the latest bomb update. This is about 10 minutes ago. No information on the Ipswich stuff, even though we know that there's been around that 2 centimetre hail. Pea-sized hail, yeah. The chat moderators are coming. But yeah, you just ignore them. The real coverage is on the screen, it's not in the live chat. It's spinning around itself, so it could swing close to Kingaroy, but again, just looking at this latest radar imagery, it's now really beginning to quickly upscale. And even if we have a look at the satellite imagery as well, the convective cloud tops of this thunderstorm, if we can get it to load, because it just wants to be a dark screen right now. So the latest data was about 20 minutes ago. 70 decibels, not 70 decibels, 70 degrees. And then that Nanago with those overshooting tops, 75 degrees or minus 75 degrees. That's where that giant hail was, by the way. It looks like this is beginning to weaken as well. And even the Ipswich cells, we're now beginning to see the cloud tops warm up a little bit from where they were earlier, which means those thunderstorms are also beginning to weaken. So the general story right now is all of these thunderstorms are beginning to quickly weaken off. Crossing in towards Archerfield. Still some hail occurring there. Yeah, Brisbane is safe. We've been adamant all day that Brisbane is not going to see severe thunderstorms, and I still stand by that. But in terms of rainfall, I mean, it's safe from rainfall. There's just going to be a few drops, and there are a few drops occurring in the Brisbane area right now. Yeah, thunder in the Kingaroy area, that's been going on for the last little while. Cool. Well, I think the risk here is really beginning to fall off. Not that there is a risk, but I really do believe that the severe thunderstorm the dangerous severe thunderstorms are all completely done. I would just like to see what we're looking at in the Archfield area. That's still a pretty strong hail core, but it's not right up on the upper end of the radar. So moving in towards Sunnybank and Mount Gavitt right now, we do have a little bit of hail coming through. So north of Logan City will miss it. Redland City likely to see some heavy rainfall and maybe some small hailstones. But in terms of what we're expecting right now, in this purple outline is where we're going to be seeing some small hailstones with intermittent heavy rainfall in the next 5 to 30 minutes or so. Whether it gets itself out to the Redland City is not really likely right now. It's still a possibility, but I'm not expecting anything crazy out into the Redland City area at this point in time. And I don't really think that we should be concerned about that either. And of course, if you are new to the channel, consider subscribing for the latest information on the storms across Queensland this storm season, and also tropical cyclone coverage as well, and all things weather around the nation. If you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. And even just considering the lightning, all of this rainfall that's now beginning to develop south of Nanango through Yarraman and Blackbutt, it looks like this thunderstorm here around Kingaroy is also now on its last legs. And this thunderstorm outside of Noosa as well is also on its last legs. Thank you for the generous donation, Dominator. And thank you for being a channel sponsor as well. Hail in Sunnybank, likely just that small stuff. There is just no severe thunderstorm threat anymore. Or there is a severe thunderstorm threat across parts of the southern suburbs of Brisbane, north of Logan City and out towards Redland City. But in terms of a significant severe thunderstorm threat, there is nothing in the way of that through southeast Queensland right now. The real deal is, of course, a lot further north, but across southeast Queensland, the threat is done and dusted, and we're not looking at anything else throughout the course of this evening. And I think on that note, it is a good time to end off this 2.5 hours of live coverage. I appreciate everybody who has showed up this afternoon and this evening, and all of the donations as well. But that is going to do it for today's live coverage, and that is also going to do it for the severe thunderstorms live coverage across southeast Queensland. That will do it for this severe thunderstorm outbreak. And I'm going to have to say I'll see you in the next one. But for Brisbane, it looks like it's all over. It's all done and dusted for Brisbane. So that is it. That is for this outbreak across southeast Queensland. Thank you so much to everybody for being a part of the stream. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you all when the severe thunderstorms continue to fire up once again, which will not be long away. We're looking at another thunderstorm outbreak possible on Saturday the 8th of November. Not likely to be a significant severe one, but there will be coverage on that if severe thunderstorms do develop through southeast Queensland. But I'll keep you all posted up to date and with up to the minute live streams and video updates as well. But thank you very, very much for being here. Thank you very much for all of the support through this thunderstorm outbreak, and I'll see you with full forecasts returning tomorrow morning. And I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.